Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to GameFace episode 487 right here on SIFTD at SIFTD.net. And let me tell you, do we have a doozy of an episode for you guys today, man. The bow broke this week, and alongside me to talk about all of this insanity is Matt Keil. So last week, Matt, remember how we were like, maybe they'll all break and they'll do the layoffs the day before the show next week. Well, that's what happened.
I said the 6th.
You did. Yep. The timing has worked out perfectly for us to talk about this before it gets too cold.
I'm sure that's a great comfort to all the people that don't have their jobs
It
anymore.
is not. And when I was preparing for this episode...
Well, at least GameFace has something to talk about.
Yeah.
But
I'll say that when I was preparing for the show over the last couple of days, I made a mental note to myself on like my tone for this episode. Because it is very easy to kind of just get caught up in the news and kind of lose the human side of this stuff sometimes.
Because it's so big.
It's like, how do you quantify it down to like one...
Yeah, you forget that they're individual people.
Yeah.
That are affected by this in their own way. Everybody's individual on that.
And if you've ever gone through a layoff...
And extend that out to how many families. And you know, you're talking about decisions that have impacted probably tens of thousands of people.
Oh, yeah. He's talking about the trickle-down of it all and the emotional impact of it all, the psychological impact of it all. I mean, if you're a developer right now and you're losing your job, you're very scared that you're not going to find another job because there's hardly any open positions. And so many people have been laid off that it's just like 10 awesome people fighting for each job.
And you're talking about, because you're talking about specialized things, and no matter how skilled you are, there's maybe 100 people in the world who can do what some of these people do, but there's only 5 jobs in the world that want that skill set. Yeah. So that's what you're fighting over.
It's tough. So that's going to be in the show today, but it's not the lead topic. That is not the VideoGame.Town headline of the week. There's another story that maybe isn't bigger, but it's new. So we kind of talked about the Xbox stuff last week.
It's certainly louder.
Yeah. And there's a story with PlayStation eliminating physical media and getting rid of discs in 2028. That is actually our top story for today's episode, not the Xbox reset, as it were. That's the kind of week that we're having in the games industry this week. It's just nuts what is going on. Like, I can't believe it, honestly.
It's fascinating that like Sony and Microsoft are like in a one-upsmanship race to like who can break their brand faster.
It's really crazy. So we're going to get into all that. There's a couple more things I need to mention in housekeeping before we get going. First of all, as we just mentioned, there's the whole PlayStation trying to kill physical media. And again, we're going to get into that here quickly in the show. It's our first topic for today. But there's a petition right now that you can sign. And I wanted to talk about this off the top of the show because everybody watches the top of the show and then people filter on. It's like they'll start skipping through the chapters looking for the stuff that they care about. Everybody watches the opening of the show. So I'm going to appeal to you guys that if the physical media thing bothers you, and maybe it will, maybe it won't after you hear Matt and I discuss it, but the bottom line is if it's really getting under your skin and bothering you, there is a petition that you can sign at change.org. Yesterday, it had 180,000 signatures, which after a couple days, I
mean, go ahead and do it, but Sony's not going to change their mind.
Probably not. But anyway, you might want to go sign that anyway. It may make you feel a little bit better.
The factories that make the discs have already been...
That's a rumor. That's not confirmed yet. So, but you're right. The word is floating around that that's been the case.
I am 100% certain that is one of the reasons they decided to finally do it.
Maybe.
Because they saw a much larger financial opportunity to get in on the AI thing. So,
well, they thought. We'll see how that works out.
Well, making the optical lenses for that. We'll see. By the time they get that up and running, will they even be needed anymore?
Right. Exactly. So anyway, if you are really fired up about it and it's bothering you, one thing that maybe will make you get a little bit of catharsis is to go and sign the petition. But again, the numbers there aren't great right now. And then another thing is this episode would have been maybe one of the best episode of 2026. And it probably still will be if you're watching the archive. But I've been playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced for the last week plus. And I'm ready to review it here on the show. But the embargo for that is tonight at 3 a.m. Pacific. So 6 a.m. Eastern time, reviews for the game will be going up across the interwebs. And so I can't talk about it with you guys. So we're not going to review it on the stream today. What's going to happen is today's show is going to be about 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes. We're going to finish the show. Then Matt and I are going to handle the review for Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced offline. And then in the archive of the show that goes up tomorrow for our patrons and our YouTube members, the review will be in there. So just trying to jump around embargo here. Obviously, we can't break embargo, and it's not up until 3 in the morning. So I'm ready to talk about it. I'm ready to review it, but we're going to have to do it offline, off of the stream, unfortunately. And, you know, just more incentive to watch the archive is all I got to say. And I can't say anything about the game.
I'm going to guess it's pretty good.
Why?
Because the original's pretty good.
Yeah, it's probably a safe bet. Yep. So anyway,
I feel like if they had completely fucked up one of the best Assassin's Creed games,
you would have known already.
Someone would have broke that embargo by now.
Someone would have snuck it under the radar.
Someone would have sent up a flare or
somewhere.
something.
Yeah. Yep. And so anyway, that's the last details on episode 487. And the final thing is like just watching our whole World Cup dreams go down the toilet yesterday. I've never seen a country so interested in something go to zero in the span of like 2 hours.
Oh, I've seen it before. Every time we lose in the World Cup.
Oh, right. It does happen every time.
As soon as we lose in the World Cup, all of a sudden soccer doesn't exist again for another 4 years.
Yeah, that was...
Meanwhile, I was in... where was I? I was in Pasadena on Sunday when Mexico lost.
Oh.
And everyone, of course, wearing the Mexico jersey. Everyone's still partying.
Yeah.
And... we asked like one person, like, "Oh, what is it, Mexico doing?" And they're like, "Oh no, we lost." And we're like, "Oh, but everyone's so happy." They're like, "That's just part of rooting for Mexico."
Well, I know all about that.
And they're all just like, "No, I mean, why not? It's a party."
Except we don't party after we lose.
No, but all the Mexico fans were just like, "It's like, oh no, that's part of it. That's part of it. Now we're gonna party because we lost because we have to feel better." And I'm like, that is a better way to be, I think.
All I'm going to say about Team US is that I don't believe in karma, but if I did, wow. Oh, man. Anyway, so yeah, America's World Cup dreams down the toilet, unfortunately. I think, we got built up to believe something that was probably ridiculous in the first place, so kind of maybe we just got put back in our place a little bit.
Yeah, well...
It happens every 4 years.
As that tweet said, Belgium might have won, but now they got to go back to their... longer vacations and better work-life balance and
their free health
universal health care and longer life expectancies and think about what they did.
Yep. Okay. Well, like I said, we do have a lot to get to, and we're going to do the Assassin's Creed Black Flag thing offline. So I have a feeling we're going to get to that 2 hour and 15, 2 hour and 30 mark and be like, dang, I can't believe we're here already. So we're going to dispense with a lot of the pleasantries, and we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, the awesome LS Cream.
It's LS Cream, the fine cream liqueur crafted by fellow gamer and sifter Stevens Charles. Inspired by the Haitian drink crémasse, LS Cream delivers an award-winning experience with every single pour. One sip and you'll see why. It's a party favorite. The silky blend of fresh cream and premium neutral grain spirits mixes great with everything. I dare you to put a shot in your coffee. I've been drinking it for years and still, I find new combinations that taste incredible. LS Cream is the kind of drink that keeps surprising you thanks to its notes of vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, and coconut. Take it to any gathering and watch it steal the spotlight. We've never seen anyone resist. Ready to join the fan club? Head to creamls.com/sifted for recipes, retailers, and online orders. That's creamls.com/sifted.
That's right, party people. Go to creamls.com/sifted and get yourself a bottle of LS Cream and make yourself some incredible summer drinks. That's the thing about LS Cream. It works in every season. You can start mixing it up with cool ice cream, and it's delicious that way. In the wintertime, it's awesome with like warm drinks. It is so versatile. It is good all year long. Go to creamls.com/sifted. Again, don't forget about that LS Cream 5K challenge. It is still going on. You can still enter. You can still make up some really cool drink and give it a fun name and win $5,000 USD. If you're interested in that, if you're a budding bartender, go to creamls.com/sifted and figure out how to enter and win yourself $5,000 USD. All right. It's time to get on with GameFace episode 487. And as always, our opening headline is brought to you by VideoGame.Town. If you love video game content, if you love independent content or independent anything, go to VideoGame.Town. They are scooping up all the best writers from these publications that are sadly being closed down. It makes it harder for us to do our job as curators because a lot of these publications are either going away or, Matt, sometimes when they come back, they're not the same. Like Polygon has really undergone some major changes over the last,
that's some Pet Cemetery shit.
There's something going on over there, like, for sure. I mean, I know I talked last week about how so many sites are using AI to make content.
I don't think most of them have humans writing for them anymore.
I think Polygon does, but it's like what it chooses to publish
sort
now.
of, but sometimes I read the Polygon stuff and it feels like if you fed all of Polygon's older articles into an AI, and it's just like the AI is just not very good at being pretentious in the way Polygon was, but it's using all the same vocabulary.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know.
Well, it's all the good people leave places like Polygon, Kotaku, name your favorite gaming website, GameSpot, IGN, or whatever. As they get laid off and they leave, VideoGame.Town is scooping those people up and letting them write about whatever they want. I don't know if you've gone and visited there yet. You absolutely should. Go to VideoGame.Town. But one thing I like about the site is that they don't just hone in on really core gaming stuff. They really have they cast a wide net as far as content is concerned. It's all related to tech, geek, gaming, etc. But they do find some unique angles on that stuff. So again, go to VideoGame.Town. Go support them. Check out their Patreon. Check out their podcast. They're an independent game site just like us. And it's not easy to survive. I've been working my butt off to keep SIFTD afloat, and they're doing the same thing over there. So go and support them if you can. And of course, they sponsor this awesome opening segment of GameFace where we talk about the biggest headline of the week. And again, it was hard to pick this week, but I did choose PlayStation ditching physical discs as the headline of the week for episode 487, mostly because we haven't discussed it yet when we kind of discussed a lot of the Xbox stuff last week. So we're going to kick things off talking about the PlayStation's big move, honestly, to kill physical media. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Matt, so I talk all the time about how, the changes to not E3, Summer Game Fest and everything, like that, it never gets on like the big networks anymore, and CNN doesn't talk about it or anything. They talked about this week. Yeah. The disc thing was on every major news network in America. It was on CNN. I saw it on MSN. I saw it all over the internet from mainstream publications. Like, this was something from gaming. Like, the console prices going up and doubling after launch didn't do it, but somehow this did. This broke through. This is like the only gaming story that has done that in forever, Matt. Mm-hmm. So it almost appears, as to me anyway, that this story is maybe a bigger deal with the casual people than it is with like the core. And I would argue the reason that is because the core has moved on from physical media. I think the casual person hasn't even realized that people have stopped buying physical games and have been buying digital versions all this time.
I mean, they do realize it. The reason this is bigger news than outside the industry news is because it's potentially the canary in the coal mine on a massive shift in the status quo of how media is presented and sold. Mm-hmm. And the best way to get eyeballs on a news story is to say, thing you're used to is going to change
or going away
because people are afraid of change,
or thing you like is going away.
Sort of thing. Yeah, and it doesn't mean that the thing they're reporting on is going to be automatically bad or automatically good. It's just that middle America sort of middle of the road normie person here's like, oh wait, the thing that I've always done that I haven't done in years is changing. I won't be able to do it anymore. What's going on? It's that thing. Uh-huh. And so like that, it's a guaranteed get, and it is, like the movie studios have flirted with the idea of killing physical media releases for years, and some of them have this to a large degree outside of the big tentpole stuff. Like if you want something that isn't, the latest Marvel. I mean, even that was if anything that isn't like the biggest hits of the year, you're not going to find them at a brick and mortar store unless you special order them or go looking for them. Like most of the stuff I buy on Blu-ray now is from like these little like boutique places that do special editions of classic movies.
Like I Am 8-Bit with its physical stuff, because those were the companies that really spoke up more than others. Were these small boutique places that do special runs of physical games for like collector's editions and stuff.
I mean, I wouldn't probably do I Am 8-Bit anymore, but like
what do you mean I wouldn't do I Am 8-Bit?
I was unimpressed by a few things in the past with them
that they've done, like paid
that I bought, and they were not very well made. And when I asked for a replacement, they said, "Well, you can return it, or you can't, or nothing, and you can go fuck yourself." And I'm like, "Well, then that's good enough for me." I think Limited Run does a pretty good job, although they've had issues with the people who run that place too. There's no real good options. If you're into movies, you've got a much wider field of options. I think in the wake of what Sony's announcing here, I'm sure more places like those things will pop up because there is a market to be served. And I would imagine that a lot of new competitors could probably do it better than I Am 8-Bit and Limited Run have been doing it recently. So you may see sort of a renaissance in like, we're going to charge you more. That's the irony, is like, it's going to cost you $80, but it'll be a nicer physical version than you would have gotten from the actual first original maker of the game.
Yeah.
So that could kind of be a side business. Not that Nintendo's getting out of it either, and that seems, Nintendo seems to be a large portion of that business right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. One thing I am sure of is like all the petitions in the world are not going to reverse this. So even though Sony is clearly taken aback a little bit by the response to it because they haven't said anything since that happened.
They did today. Finally, their social media account went quiet for
totally
a week. For a week. Think about that, man.
There's a lot of meetings to decide how to react to it.
Think about that.
Which says to me that they didn't think this was going to be
as big a deal. I'll be honest with you, Matt. I didn't either. Because everybody moved on. I was like the only one left buying physical games still. I've talked about it. I don't know how many times on this show that I still buy physical. People would make fun of me in chat. People would be like, oh, blah, blah, blah.
Some of it is because, as you said, it broke containment.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people complaining about this, I think you're right, are more casual buyers. Because
maybe they were thinking about finally getting a PS5, and now they're like, well, wait a minute.
No, most of the people I know who want a PS5 are going to get it for GTA. But
right.
Like the thing, either they are in 100%, or they found out how much the PlayStations cost. Now they're like, oh, maybe I don't want to do that yet.
Yeah.
We'll see if that lasts when GTA is imminent.
Right.
Like
and the reviews come out.
We're seeing gameplay, and we're kind of like, the hype builds. Like maybe that might pull more people back in. Probably will. But I and some of it is because like I don't know if you have that in the rundown there, but basically the numbers that we've been seeing have turned out to be very skewed in terms of how Sony calculates them in terms of digital share versus physical share. And once you see the numbers broken down by game title and game type, it makes more sense that the casual people are reacting, like the people who would wander into a Best Buy back in the day and pick up GTA 5 because they saw it on the shelf. It makes sense that that's the audience that's complaining loudly about this because they're the ones who do in fact still buy them on discs.
Yeah.
Or did.
Right. So I've been pounding the drum for physical all along. Like I buy games, my wife sells them on eBay, I get a little bit back. It helps me recoup some of my investment that I'm in my company. So look, I don't know if I would be doing that if I wasn't running SIFTD and didn't care about the financial part of it.
Yeah, I certainly don't. I'd rather have the space and no clutter. In all honesty, like the weakest argument on this to me is the whole like, well, they could just take your games away whenever they want. They're not going to fucking do that. Like no one's going to do that.
People are saying that because PlayStation just took away everyone's movies.
Except they didn't.
Oh, really?
That was Studio Canon. That was the publisher, the distributor of those movies told Sony, you have to do that.
No, I think people get that. But the bottom line is they bought it through Sony, and now the stuff's gone. Like, they don't care what happened.
But
they bought it from Sony,
but
it's gone.
But it matters that it happened that way because that wasn't Sony doing that. Sony is never going to remove your ability to download and install The Last of Us Part 2. Like, that is never going to happen. And it has never happened with Steam. Like we've been full digital with most PC gaming for 20 years, and it's fine. There are more recourses if something like that happens on PC. Yeah. Obviously, you have GOG. There are ways to jailbreak things, etc., etc. But again, unless Sony literally is going to shut the PlayStation brand down, you will never not be able to download and install these games. Like that's simply not going to happen.
Yeah.
But again, that is when Sony doesn't have control over that, like the movies, the media thing. That is a possibility, which is one reason I have never bought a movie digitally on PlayStation.
I've never bought one digitally, period.
I have not intended to. Yeah. Like sometimes they come with the physical editions or like I rented something on Amazon to watch, and like it ended up being like, oh, you can keep it. I'm just like, great, I'm never gonna look at this again. But no, I mean, movies and TV shows are a lot easier to lose in that regard because like the people who own the rights disappear and transfer and go over here. But in terms of like a software service, like I do not worry about that ever. I also don't, and there's a bunch of games, like, oh, well, guess what? I have a physical copy of Tabula Rasa, and I can't play that either because it fucking died.
Right, yeah.
Some of these things are just as the nature of these online games, which is another reason I think a lot of people rightly don't have a lot of use for these games as a service-focused things because those games will eventually not be playable anymore.
Yeah, they will go away. Because once they're brought down, there's no reason to leave them playable.
And sometimes, obviously come back, I mean, fans have resurrected Marvel Heroes. That old Diablo style game, like that's great. I never should have been shut down. It's so there's recourses on PC. That's obviously different, but like that is not the primary concern to me.
I agree with you 1,000%. Like I
like
agree.
That seems to be the top thing that like the gamers
they're the ones that seem to be
trademark
mad
are screaming about this. I'm like, that's not the worry.
No,
that's not what I'm worried about at all.
Me either. It's they have total control over everything, and that's why they did this. It's all about money and control. It's like I had an editorial in the Shane Satterfield show like a month ago talking about why E3 is never coming back, and it's because PlayStation now has control over everything, and they can pre-record the demos. They don't have to worry about stage gas and other crap. It's like they want control.
Yes.
It's the same thing here. They can control the pricing of everything. Like if that...
And they don't give anyone else a cut.
Right. If that dynamic pricing that we heard about like 2 months ago like really ruffled your feathers, you should be losing your mind right now.
Yeah, that is the goal here.
Yes, because that's the thing, Matt. That whole thing, I believe, was a test for this.
Very much felt like
once it's an all-digital future. And how can they constantly mess with the prices depending on the customer and where they are and how much money we think they have? Like, I mean, it could work out for some people where they perceive that you live somewhere that there isn't a lot of money and it doesn't seem like you buy a lot, where they think that maybe you don't have money and you can get maybe a little bit cheaper. But I think generally...
Like, hey, if we offer this to this person $10 less, they might buy it today.
Right, yeah.
And that would be better than not getting anything.
Right, and so there could be some...
But for me, who buys like a bunch of things per week, they're like, well, this guy can just...
They're going to charge you the max every time.
Yeah.
And they also have control. Obviously, you can't resell your games, so you can't get money back. You can't loan them to your brother or your uncle or your family or your friends or anybody. So everybody has to now buy the game instead of being able to loan it out. Like... That is the idea, and that is what people should be mad about. But here's the thing: they're not. They've never been. It never bothered them. They have sat and watched physical media go away for the last 10 or 12 years. They didn't care.
Yeah, Sony's not interested in like randomly revoking your access to games you've bought.
Yeah.
They want your money.
Yep.
And one of the best ways to not get your money ever again is to take a game away from you, from your library.
If you want to lose a customer, that's a good way to do it.
They're not going to do that.
They're never
the only time that will happen is if they shut down the online access for whatever, 20 years from now, if the PlayStation 4 no longer has access to PSN or whatever because they upgrade something and they have to shut that down, the way Nintendo did with the DS and stuff. But everything will almost certainly have moved forward off of that. I mean, you can still download and install stuff on PS3. Like that's not gone at all. You can't play on anything else forward, but like it's not gone. It's fine. You should be worried about how weird this is going to get if Sony suddenly has full control over the pricing. And believe me, they wanted to do this forever. Like the thing that stopped them was the fact that so much of the game economy was in brick and mortar. That 80 to 90% of all their sales were at brick and mortar retail, and most of that was at Walmart. And as long as Walmart said no, like you won't give them better prices on digital. Yep. Which theoretically, originally early on, they were like, oh, that could be cheaper for digital because we don't have to pay for the packaging and the disc and da-da-da. But, retail was like, no. Like, that means no, why would anyone buy them?
Yeah. We're not going to sell your console.
Which is funny because it's like now they would. Like, they do. People do pay more for physical now.
They do, yeah.
And it kind of goes back and forth. Like, sometimes physical is way cheaper. Sometimes physical goes on deep
discount. In Europe,
like
apparently,
in Europe, all the time.
Is cheaper all the time, which is crazy.
And sometimes the reverse is true, where it's like digital sales happen way faster, and like the brick and mortar store, Walmart is much slower to reduce prices on things like that usually.
Well, what happened is that like brick and mortar needed to play nice with Sony, and Sony needed to play nice with it because they were in a symbiotic relationship. Like, PlayStation needed the retail places to sell the consoles, and then obviously they needed to sell the console so that they could sell the software and make the money at the stores. So, but once PlayStation and Nintendo and Xbox started figuring out its own ways to drop ship stuff, and you can start ordering it direct from Xbox.com and PlayStation.com, suddenly they don't need the retailers that sell the hardware anymore.
Or places like Amazon, where like Amazon is pretty reliable for hardware. Amazon is dog shit for software.
It is.
Like, you can't even find American copies of things most of the time.
I know.
Like, it's impossible.
Yeah.
And Amazon doesn't care. Like, if Amazon cared about that, it would be functioning.
That's
properly.
why it keeps going back and forth with Nintendo all the time.
Yeah.
Nintendo's like, you guys are like the Wild West. What are you doing?
Yeah,
over
why
there?
are you doing it? Like, and it's like, it's crazier because like it wasn't like that all the time.
I know.
You know, like 10 years ago, it wasn't like that.
Yep.
And now it's just like you can't even be sure if you're getting an actual like legit copy of anything anymore.
It feels like the relationship between retailers and the platform holders have become adversarial now.
Yeah.
It's not symbiotic. It's like they're butting heads against each other, trying to figure out how each can survive.
Well, somewhere around here, it feels like some line got crossed where Sony decided, because like if you look at because like Sony says like basically the majority of game sales now are digital, right?
Yeah.
But the way if you look at how they calculate that, it's misleading because they're actually calculating all digital sales versus all physical sales,
right.
and they're including all these games that are not available physically.
Yeah.
So you're not talking
That's
about
not a fair comparison.
Yeah, they're not talking about. You're not talking about in 100% games that people are making a choice to buy digitally over a physical version. There's all these games that if you want them at all, you got to buy them digitally.
Indie games,
right?
Small indie games,
these small little $1-5 things, and they're
Yeah.
counting each one of those as an individual sale, and you number those up, and of course, digital outweighs. Because, but if you just like look at the, mostly you're looking at this through the Insomniac leak hack. And you're looking at individual sales. The big AAA stuff still sells like 60 to 70% physical.
Yeah.
But you're going to look at like Ghost of Tsushima.
Sony just needed that data to
Ghost
make
of
its
Tsushima
case.
was like 50-50,
Right.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
But at some point, Sony seems to have decided we've crossed a Rubicon to the point that we think we can get away with this.
And that's what it is.
And that's what happened.
It finally got to the point where it's like, okay,
And
perception is.
And I very much believe that converting those factories to do optical lenses for
Someone's here.
That's the door.
Yeah.
Optical lenses for AI stuff is one of the things that is going to boost their revenue, and they're going to be able to get away with it.
Maybe.
I'm gonna go see who that is.
Yeah, no one ever knocks on Matt's door, so that's a little strange. Hopefully we don't have a problem here. One thing I will say is it feels to me like if you're really concerned and you really want physical media to stick around, it feels to me like Europe is our last chance. Because, look, things in America right now, if you're a consumer, you're screwed. They do nothing in America right now is siding with the consumer. It's all siding with big corporations and allowing them to basically get away with whatever they want. So you saw with the whole Stop Killing Games movement, it did nothing in America. But over in Europe, it actually made some waves. And so I think maybe Europe might be the only thing that might save physical games, is if they take the angle that a lot of the casual gamers are taking with it and just say like, oh, they could take it away, even though Matt and I just agreed that probably is never going to happen. If Europe does look at it and say, well, they could just take these games away that you bought, and in our territories, once you buy something, you own it, and you can't do that, maybe Europe can push back. And if Europe does push back and is successful pushing back, then maybe that trickles down to all the other territories around the globe. Honestly, to me, that is probably the only opportunity to save physical discs, because the petition right now is like 180,000 signatures. That is nothing. If you're a PlayStation and you're looking at that, that is nothing. You're like basically going, shoo, people don't care. We were right. Like, even though they were attacked mercilessly on their social media, they're probably thinking right now they're right. Matt, what I was brought up was the idea that in Europe, maybe they could save us, because Europe is way more consumer-oriented, where the United States is like, particularly right now, screws the consumer and is all about big corporations. Maybe because, the Stop Killing Games thing kind of happened in Europe, maybe there's a better chance of Europe keeping this from happening? No.
I think the best we can hope for is more consumer-friendly refund options. I mean, which again, that's not nothing.
Yeah.
Like the only reason we can get refunds on these digital platforms is Europe.
Yeah.
But I think the deal is made. I think Sony is committed to, because I do not discount how much of a factor the more lucrative use of these factories is going to be. Like, they are going to make more money.
At first, I think they will.
Getting it. I mean, yeah, they're probably going to regret it eventually. That bubble is coming.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting, bubble doesn't mean the thing in question is bad.
Right.
It just means that it's
over-leveraged.
Over-leveraged.
Yeah.
And there's the value is not there.
Yeah.
There was a bubble for trains and TVs and
yeah.
all that, and fiber optic cable,
Yeah. And that stuff still exists.
It's still around, and it was it became very important.
Yeah.
But the people
about important, that disk drive that was just showed in the B-roll is very important.
But the people who built it are not the ones who got rich off of it.
Yeah.
You ever notice that?
You're right. Andy T. Monahan brings up another good point. Also, Europe just forced Nintendo to create a new version of the Switch 2 that you can replace the battery in it yourself.
Could you force Sony to make a DualSense we can calibrate the sticks on? How about that? Can we do that next? What is that about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Feels like that should really be in the settings.
Yeah. The irony, and I mentioned this while you were gone as well, is that I think the angle that Europe might take to try to get this to happen is the angle that we mentioned at first that we laughed at and kind of laughed out of the room. Instead of saying, like, hey, like, this is them, like, controlling everything, like, Europe may say, like, well, they could technically take your games away. And, like seriously, that might be the thing.
But, I mean, the solution to that would be you just write something into the EULA that says we won't do that.
Right.
That doesn't bring the discs
No, you're
back.
right.
It just changes the contract.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
Because Sony does not want to bring those discs back.
Yeah.
I mean, also remember that this means that every time a PlayStation game is sold, Sony gets all that money.
Yeah.
They don't spend anything on manufacturing. They don't spend anything on shipping. They don't spend anything on distribution. They don't spend anything on profit sharing. They don't spend anything on anything. It all goes straight to them.
With this new plan, they'll make $10 more, according to Pactor. They'll make $10 more on every digital game and like $30 more on any game that would have been like a physical version that's been converted to digital now. So,
and if you do that math, if they lose like 25% of the audience, they're still making more money than they were before.
Yeah.
So they probably don't care that anyone's signing a petition about this. The interesting part of this to me is, like, I would love to know exactly. I think I'm right when I say that somewhere in there the math added up for them that, like, we can do this. We can jump off this cliff now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I just wonder what that line was. I just wonder what it was that finally made them say, okay, now.
Yeah.
I'm just curious with that. I don't really have a speculation on that. I'm just curious. I'd be very curious to know what that point of no return was.
I mean, I think it's probably Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah.
Once it came out and said we're putting a code in a box, and people were like, "That sucks," but okay. Well, PlayStation was like, "Well, shit."
Yeah, I mean, and you even see Rockstar trying to distance themselves from this.
Yeah.
Like the GTA logo disappeared from the PlayStation app 2 days later.
I know. Well, here's the thing. Like, there are also rumors swirling right now that PlayStation, to find some middle ground, may end up doing what Rockstar is doing and just selling physical games as a code in a box at retail. And
that wouldn't surprise. I mean, that's a transitional period thing they can do.
Yep.
It's silly, but
yeah.
I mean, it is a way to make sure that the people that like would only know that GTA came out or Last of Us 3 came out or whatever by seeing it on the shelf still buy your thing.
Yeah. Or just walking through the mall and just seeing the big wall of GTA 6 in the GameStop as you walk by. Oh my God, it's a new Grand Theft Auto.
I mean, one hopes that, like, I mean, the expectation that GTA is not going to be escapable. Like, you're not going to need to see a wall of it at the store because you're going to see a wall of it on the wall as you're walking down the street. You know, that thing's going to be everywhere.
No, it will be, for sure.
So, but like for something like Sony's stuff, that's not as ubiquitous.
Okay.
You probably still want a store display for something like that.
Here's the next thing. Backwards compatibility was such a huge deal. It's what sold the PS4, the PS3. It's what sold the Xbox Series, the people that did buy it.
Well, I wouldn't say it sold the PS4 because the PS3 stuff wasn't backwards
compatible.
But
the PS2, PS1, all that stuff, it played like all those games, and they committed to making sure X number of them were available for download, et cetera, et cetera. And then Xbox obviously was all in on backwards compatibility with Series X and even Xbox One to an extent. It feels like that's all gone now. Like, they don't care.
I wouldn't say that.
Really?
I mean,
if you take a disc drive out, you can't play your Xbox 360 or Xbox games.
Who gives a shit?
Well, that means you don't care about backwards compatibility anymore.
At all. It means that you don't care about this disc anymore, sure, but that's not what backwards compatibility means anymore. Like
it does to me. It means that I can go grab my Xbox 360 game off my shelf and put it in my Xbox Series X and play it.
But that means that you're a unicorn in that regard, because what backwards compatibility really means today is you can play your digital library from the previous system on your current system. I am a big backwards compatibility. I play older games. I have never put an old disc into my PlayStation. I just play my old
PS3
stuff.
a lot.
PS3 doesn't work in the current systems.
No, I was just saying back when I had my PS3 out, I use it all the time. I put discs in it. Yeah.
But now most of that stuff you can do either through PC emulation, or they have sort of better versions for like $9 on PSN, but not mostly the Star Wars stuff.
I do it all the time with my Xbox Series X.
I did it more with the Xbox. Because,
I'll just go grab a game off my shelf and just put it in.
I'll tell you what, the only time I ever do that is when it's not available digitally.
I would not go buy a game again.
I do because they're on sale for like $4.
I still wouldn't. I have it right here. I just have to walk over to my shelf and put the disc in the system.
No, don't care.
Yeah, well, you're wealthy. I'm not.
I have to get up.
Yeah, but you have money you have to burn. I don't. I think about how I spend my money. Most people do.
But most people are also going to just not think about $4 if they decide they want to play this old game that they may or may not have anymore.
Well, I know I have it. Is my point. I know it's there.
I'm saying a whole lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Like most people don't keep those things.
What I'm kind of getting at here is it feels like the whole backwards compatibility thing was a whole bunch of nothing. That was talked up, but most people don't care about it.
I don't agree. Well, I think
you just said most people don't care about it. No one does it.
Well, it does. It didn't move.
You do it, and I do it,
but it didn't move the. Yeah, it didn't move the needle for system sales.
Yeah,
I mean, certainly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they're still going to push like older. It's a good way to get people to buy another like $4 to $5 to $10 little up thing. You know, people bought the Jack and Daxter thing, and you know those Sly Cooper ones they put. That's still going to be around, but they haven't cared about whether you put the disc in for a long. I mean, only Xbox really was down with that for a long time, and that was mostly because I think Microsoft didn't want to take the time to actually make some of these things work. Like the only time I ever put a disc in the Xbox these days is when the thing I want to play is not available digitally, and the main thing that comes to mind is Arkham Origins. For whatever fucking reason that they don't want to include that game in their re-releases of there is no modern digital version of that game. You have to put the disc in for that. But it's very rare, and I'd rather get the digital sale from you. I mean, that's a whole other interesting question that I'm sure is like 4,000th on the list of things people are going to ask Asha about. But I wonder what Xbox's position on that kind of thing will be going forward. I would imagine it's not important to either of them at this point.
Well, it doesn't. That's the thing. It doesn't feel like backwards compatibility is that important at all. Right. But here's the thing:
the backwards compatibility importance is carrying your library forward. Like in terms of playing classic games, they've never really cared about that.
Well, Xbox has for sure.
They did, but like because they had nothing coming out.
Well, rumor is that Xbox is working on some kind of thing right now where you'll be able to put a disc into your Xbox and it will be turned into a digital copy of the game that then would do what you're saying and carry forward through the generations. That's an interesting idea.
I think that could work. I would imagine you better do that now because it sounds like the next system's not going to have a disk drive at all.
So here's the thing. We talked about that last week. Did we think that maybe if this happened that Nintendo and Xbox would have a competitive advantage? We both kind of thought that we didn't. However, I do think maybe Xbox is starting to reconsider things because this week it made a huge deal about the fact that Halo Campaign Evolved is coming as a disc version. Like, I think two separate tweets that put out about it or something like that.
Well, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to see that now is the time to mention that.
Right. So, and so I'm wondering...
Even Microsoft can piece that one together. Yeah.
So I am wondering if maybe Microsoft is starting to maybe think, maybe this is a competitive advantage that we could have.
I think Microsoft is just thinking that now is the time to contradict that.
Or maybe we could just sell an extra million units of Halo.
A couple copies of Halo if we mention that. I don't think that means they're going to change the design of the next system necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be way more advantageous to keep the already obscene cost of that thing down more by not including an optical drive that only 10% at most of your audience is going to use.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to want... I mean, Sony isn't wrong to sell the Blu-ray drive separately from the Pro.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks. I had to go... You know, it sucks I had to go buy this thing separate.
It's already $900.
It's already that much money. Yeah, exactly. But they're also not wrong in terms of the market demographic.
Yeah, and I think most people would be okay with the next generation having an option.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to have your base console without it, cool. But let me have the option of buying it if I want to.
I mean, I don't need it for games, but, like, it's a good Blu-ray player, and it's one less thing I got to plug into the system. You know, it's one HDMI cable for both the PlayStation and my Blu-ray player. Like that, I'll take it. That's worth it.
Yeah. How do you explain that Hideo Kojima is the only luminary developer to stand up and say this is wrong?
Because Hideo Kojima is actually like a big media nerd, and I think most people aren't.
Yeah.
Like I think he cares about that kind of presentational thing in the same way that like Christopher Nolan doesn't own a cell phone, doesn't own a smartphone, and wants to shoot everything on film. You know, Kojima is that same kind of person.
Yeah.
I think most people who even the luminaries of gaming or whatever are not. Like,
I'm been surprised that not a single other big developer.
And honestly, most of the other big developers, there's a lot of them are beholden to Sony because that's where they make their damn money. They don't want to piss off their platform.
Yeah.
A lot of the other people who could Todd Howard say something about it? Sure, but who cares? Why does he care?
Well, he knows that Microsoft's about to do the same thing.
Microsoft's about to do the same thing, and on top of that, the PlayStation doesn't affect him. So what does he have to say anything about it? And like a lot of the other people, I think would really see.
Well, they do sell their games on PlayStation.
Not for long.
We'll see.
A lot of the other. If you think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be on PlayStation, I got bad news for you.
I mean, will Xbox still exist by the time it's finished?
That's a fine question.
I'm not even joking about that. I'm being serious.
Yeah, it's a good question. We'll see.
Yeah.
And but like the only other people, like the other major developers, I think would have a strong opinion about it are mostly Nintendo, and Nintendo doesn't need to comment on that because we know Nintendo's not going to do that.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
One thing that has sort of come out is that PlayStation will actually print some discs, but only for old games that publishers want new orders of. No new games, which is so stupid.
Well, because that's contractual.
Right.
Like they have to fulfill those.
Yeah. So they're going to have
as soon as that runs out, though.
They're going to have at least one line to make discs left. So
yeah, they'll probably knock that down to one factory.
I mean, don't you think it would be kind of smart for PlayStation to even maybe bogart physical versions in like the only place that you can get a physical version of the games then is from the collector's edition of like The Last of Us Part 3. Like,
I mean, it depends if they find any value in that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like those collector's editions are not really. I mean, but movie studios have done that. Like basically, Warner Brothers for years had print on demand disc copies of like their classic film library that wasn't you weren't going to see it in Best Buy because like they didn't, there was no room even at that point to carry all the black and white movies that Warner Brothers has the rights to. But you could go on their website and whatever, and I mean, they were shitty. They were like, no art, no nothing, and you got them in like either a little tiny like slim case with like a printout like shit, but you had a copy of it.
Yeah,
I have a few of those because it was the only way to get those. They weren't sold in stores, but I don't know what the economics of that would be for software in that same way now, especially when you're dealing with Blu-rays and like because again that sort of thing kind of went away, and now what you've got are these boutique things like Vinegar Syndrome and Shout Factory and all that kind of stuff that like you get these nice like boutique special editions of I just got one from Vinegar Syndrome of Explorers, and like they're gorgeous, they're beautiful, they're collector focused and stuff, but that is basically the only way to get nice copies of these things. Theoretically you could do that with video games. I would assume that Sony would not find the economics of that to be worthwhile. And it's different because like the movie studios are more interested in distributing these things and getting deals to like put catalogs on places and get paid to have them on those streaming services or whatever, on a regular monthly or yearly or quarterly basis. Whereas Sony probably wouldn't want to license out their software titles to like a boutique like physical game presser like that because they want you to just buy it digitally and give them all that money. The Warner Brothers doesn't expect you to go around buying for $10-15 each like all the film noir stuff they have in their catalog, but Sony might expect you to pay that much for every Sly Cooper game. And like it would behoove them to make sure that the only place you can get that is on PlayStation Network. I think that's the mentality difference. I think, and also because to bring one of those things up to speed on a PlayStation, a new system, you got to do some development work, even if it's minor, sort of like, okay, we got to make sure this works on PS6, right?
Yeah.
For the big sleep, you just have to transfer that video file onto a disc.
Much easier.
It's just the overhead is much slower. So, and I think Sony is greedy and stingy enough that they probably would not allow something like that. I think you could see it for third party Like, if, again, we say this all the time, but if EA had a brain in their head, they'd be doing that already.
Yeah.
Like, you could go and, like, order, like modern copies of Desert Strike for a Genesis on a cartridge, but, like, made to order from a website somewhere. And I could just order their Genesis catalog to play on all these mini retro systems that are around now that you can plug a Mega Drive cartridge into.
Yeah.
Like, that would be something you could do. But, you know, that's not... It's small potatoes compared to having a hit live service game, so nobody wants to do something like that.
Yeah.
But at some point, someone's going to figure that out. Because you can get, like, you know, custom cartridges and stuff like that for games that some weren't even... You know, you can get an American version of Mega Man The Wily Wars for Genesis, never released here.
Right. Yeah.
But you can do that. And it's got to be worth something because, you know, companies exist that do that, even if it's a bootleg thing. But, like... That's an option in the future. It might be the only way you can maybe get like a copy of Last of Us 3 on disc, I suppose. But like, I feel like that's going to be in a bootleg rather than an official service because Sony doesn't seem to be interested in that. It feels like it's just too small to move their needle.
Yeah. What's the end result of this, if there's any? Is it? Are we gonna, like, in 3 months? Are we gonna notice anything changed at all? Because people have been buying digital all along.
Well, of course not. But
the change would have to be them starting to buy physical.
Well, first off, it's not going to really change until next year because they're not going to stop.
Yeah, we should have mentioned actually off the top that this doesn't happen until 2008.
Yeah.
So there's 18 months. There's this whole window here of where stuff could happen, but probably won't.
What would change?
Well, PlayStation changing its mind. You know,
I do not see that happening.
Yeah, I feel like that petition probably needed like 10 million people before they
were
would
going
look at it.
If they were going to get scared and change their mind, they would have said something sooner.
Yeah,
it would have been an instant like, oh my god, we have to not do it.
Yeah,
because the fact that they took this long to say anything to me says there were a lot of meetings and there was a lot of discussion, but they were committed enough to this idea that like that had to be a discussion. It wasn't like we can try this now. Oh, that didn't work. Let's stop.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times with like weird corporate decisions, you see that.
Yeah.
Where, like,
they came back today and just tried to post like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, no. We've been waiting for you to post for 6 freaking days. And people just jumped on them.
Well, spoilers, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They're just going to continue to not say anything about it. And you can either not play PlayStation games or you can live with it. Those are your two options. It sucks. But this was going to happen one day. Mm-hmm. You're probably right that it was the GTA thing that prompted it. Yeah. It's like, if GTA can get away with it, we can.
Litmus test.
Which is, again, if GTA can get away with it, we can get away with it. Might be the dumbest sentence that you could possibly say in the game industry.
But it's PlayStation.
But in PlayStation's case, it might be true.
They have so much hubris. Like, they really think that they're bigger than GTA.
Well, they have no competition.
Right.
I mean, I think it is GTA 6 doing that in conjunction with Microsoft, like, crumbling over you're just looking over there at your main competition. It's like those guys can't even get out of bed in the morning. So what are we worried about?
Yeah.
What your options are: play PlayStation or don't play video games.
Kind of. You're kind of that's where you're at right now. Yeah.
I mean,
don't play the video games the way they're intended.
Right. I mean, obviously that's not 100% true. You have Switch 2 and you have PC. There are obviously other options. But in terms terms of sort of that mainstream sort of as they've started calling them gun and ball gamers. I love that.
That's funny.
I love that term.
That's hilarious.
Isn't that a good way to sum that up?
It is. Yeah.
I don't remember where I first read that. I wish I could credit whoever I read that from. But anyway, I think in terms of that is a PlayStation game. That large demographic where the real money from the movie is made, as Yogurt would say. Mm-hmm. Those people, it's PlayStation. PlayStation
or
is
nothing.
kind of that.
That's all there is.
It.
Yeah.
And when really put down to that choice, I don't think.
So you don't think that this is going to dent PlayStation in any way? What about like next gen when the casuals are starting to think about buying a console again? Like, you think they'll balk at all, knowing kind of what's going on now?
I mean, I think they balk at the fact. I mean, balk one way or the other because there's not going to be a fucking disk drive on that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like as soon as you see you got to buy a separate one or there is no disk drive, like someone's going to react to that like one way or the other.
Yeah. I tend to agree. I don't think there's going to be any change. I think right now people are freaking out about it. But here's like
I think you're right that the only the only recourse or only possible detour is if Europe passes some sort
That's
of
the only chance, and it's
consumer
very
protection
slight.
thing. It's very unlikely to be able to pass anything that wouldn't just require like a contract alteration or like a refund option that we don't already have.
Terms of service.
I don't think anything could bring back the discs.
Yeah.
You know, I think it would just there'd be ways to make sure that you don't get screwed by digital purchasing.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time believing that there's a way to bring the discs back, or keep the discs, rather.
I think it will be hard to quantify what getting rid of
Right.
physical media does, because I do believe that the next generation is going to sell maybe 2/3 of what this generation did. Like, the data's there. You can just watch it just going down generation after generation.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how you're going to be able to say, well, that was physical disc,
and-
or it's just the industry being too expensive.
And we
for
had an
people.
amazing example of the economic downturn in the nerd entertainment space over the last weekend, by the way.
Did I miss it?
You didn't care about it.
Oh, what was it?
Anime Expo.
Oh, what happened?
So Anime Expo this year, or was it Anime Expo? Yeah, Anime Expo this year, I believe, was attendance was down 33%
I did see
from
that
last year.
I did see that, yeah.
However, it was only down like 1.2% from 2024.
So last year was a spiky.
Last year had a spike, and then it crashed again.
It went back to the way it was.
Went back to what it
Yeah.
was in 2024.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying, like, oh, that's because no one can afford to go this year. I'm like, well, then why could they afford to go last year? Like, what?
Right.
The question becomes, like, what happened last
Well,
year?
to be fair, I mean, things have gotten a lot worse.
They have gotten
in
a lot
the
worse.
last 12 months, man. Like,
They
a
have.
lot worse. Like,
So,
everything.
but that's how fast, but again, and this is one of the things, you know, in conjunction with what we're talking about with like PlayStation and acceptable losses. In terms
People are
of
afraid
that,
to travel here, too.
remember that?
Don't forget that.
Sure, but
Yeah.
in terms of acceptable losses and stuff, if you look at the pictures of Anime Expo, you can't move.
It's still just way
You
too
would never in a
crowded. Yeah.
million years think that attendance was down.
Only the data
33%.
tells you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like, so maybe just nobody notices until it's too late.
Yeah, that could
Right?
be. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I don't think this is going to change anything. Like, I've been beating this drum for years on GameFace, and again, people would laugh at me in chat. Shane stuck in the past, physical media, stupid, still, whatever.
Yeah. I will say,
People just don't care.
I will say, and I don't.
In the end, they don't care.
I will say I don't think it's stupid when it comes to licensed stuff. Like I always try to buy licensed stuff before it goes. One of my big physical media regrets is I never got around to buying a physical copy of the PS4 Godzilla game, and now that thing's worth like $900.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
Holy-
I have it digitally. Like I can play it whenever I want. But I remember back
Wow.
then thinking because I bought it digitally because it came out and I want to play it right now.
Yeah.
So and I was thinking like I should go get a disc copy of this eventually before it goes away because it's a license and they'll go away. And then Godzilla stuff is always valuable later because you can't buy it anymore. And I just never got around to it. And now it's $800, $900.
Yeah,
and I'm
wow.
not going to pay that much for that fucking game.
Yeah.
But like, also reissue the. I ordered the physical copies of Godzilla Destroy All Monsters remaster. You better believe. I did do that.
It feels to me, and I hate to use this phrase, it's overused, but it does feel like there's a lot of virtue signaling going on right now.
Yeah,
With people who
think
did not
so.
give a crap about physical discs until PlayStation took them away, and now they're on some crazy revenge tour against PlayStation over this when they didn't care.
Well, I mean,
Like,
it's like.
if they cared, they'd have been buying physical all this time, and it never would have come to this.
Right. Well, I mean, it's sort of a microcosm, or not
Yeah.
microcosm. But it's an analog of the Twilight Zone episode, where the neighborhood thinks that like nuclear missiles are coming, and only one guy has the bomb shelter and is prepared, and all the neighbors start to like turn on each other because they think they deserve to be in the, it's
Right.
like, well, you're not the one who built the fucking shelter, you know?
Right.
So like, yeah, don't let them take your discs, Shane. Like you're the one who bought them and you're the one who did it.
I've tried. I have fought it with everything I got. I don't have enough influence, unfortunately. I'm an influencer
There's not
without
enough.
enough influence.
There's not enough of you. Like I said, you're a unicorn.
I am, yeah. I mean, it is very specific to my job and what my career's been and where I'm at. So, yeah, I understand that not everyone is like me, but I did kind of see why physical media was important as far as ownership, loaning, getting money.
Yeah. Well, also the
Because
other.
Pachter brings up a good analogy he uses, which is used cars. And he's like, if we weren't able to trade in our used cars and get some money back, nobody would ever buy a new car. We would just keep driving our old cars until they ran into the dirt, and nobody would buy new cars. So the car industry understands, like, we need to accept people taking these back because the poor people then can buy the cars that are old, and the rich people keep buying the new cars, and the whole ecosystem survives, you know?
Although to be fair, the last time I traded a car in to buy a new car, they gave me $10 for it.
Yeah.
The old Dodge Avenger was not worth a lot when I brought it back in.
I believe you. So anyway, there's so many angles of this. Let's check in with you guys and see what you guys are saying about this. And I do wonder if any of you were the people who have been giving me crap for the last 10 years in our chat have changed your minds. And now you maybe see that physical has a play. I don't know. But I do know that on the site, on SIFTD this week, everybody was, I mean, the story was one of the most commented stories we've had.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think physical media is nearly as important as preservation. And you don't need physical media to preserve.
That's true.
It's just easier to do it that way. But there will still be, you can still get, very nice copies of current streaming media on disc or on file or whatever from, sources.
So Vincent says we have a good question in Super Chat. And it is a good one from Crypto Cody. How do you feel about game key cards in relation? I mean, I don't know if you're ever on SIFTD, Crypto Cody, but one of the blurbs I wrote this week was exactly that. Like, suddenly, Nintendo's game key cards sound like the best thing since sliced bread. Like, I would take that. Like, I would now take a game key card or the equivalent from PlayStation versus nothing that we're getting now.
Well, we'll see, because those do cost an extra $10.
Yeah, they do. I mean,
I certainly don't. I did notice they've sped up the animation of that. When you first load, it doesn't cut to a separate window, and now it's just like, it's in, we're good, done. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense for Nintendo and the Switch in general, because that is the nature of how that system works and how Nintendo stuff works. You're swapping stuff back and forth more often. And Nintendo is way more open to, like Star Fox. You can play multiple people can play with one copy of that game and multiple Switches. And
they do that all the time.
I mean, you got to download it, but it's like they do that with everything. And I think it's great. I think Pocopia did something like that too, which is great. Like,
a lot of Nintendo games do that.
Nintendo's way more generous about stuff like that. I always find, like, if it's just because again, if just having the key and being able to swap back and forth somehow is the main thing, then the whole preservation thing is bullshit, because the game's not on that cartridge.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, you could argue that you add up all those reasons and you have a big enough argument that these things should stay, but clearly not, because they just don't sell in the numbers that are required to keep these. I think they do sell in the numbers that Nintendo finds them worthwhile to keep around. And Nintendo it seems to be in the DNA of that company that, like, they want you to be able to buy some kind of physical object one way or the other to represent this thing. Probably because of how often families swap games around inside the same household. Like, it's probably just too important to their business model. Sony
particularly Nintendo.
Yeah, Sony just doesn't have that. Sony expects you to own one PlayStation in a house for the most part, whereas Nintendo knows that a lot of households have multiple Switches.
That's true. Yeah. YouTube, you guys are awake today asking us questions. What is going on over there? Good to see. Bachby says, in Europe, physical is regularly 30 to 40% cheaper than digital, provided the store bother to order copies not all the time, but quite often. Yeah, we mentioned that, like, for whatever reason, it's all reversed in Europe a lot of times. Z3R009 says, physical copy with tax in Poland. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, $52. The Blood of Dawnwalker, $63. Rayman Legends Retold, $37, etc. Thank you for that update on prices. We already got one from Bachby we answered. Let's head over to Twitch. Again, guys, always go at SIFTD Games if you want us to respond to you, because the chat is there's just too much, and we can't, like, go through and read each one. Tiny Blip says, you guys realize we got huge amount of game data since 4K arrived. I say leave that first if you want your game size smaller. Yeah, I mean, that's the other problem, is that, like, discs, you'd have to, like, sell some games with, like, 3 discs at this point.
Well, that's also the things, like, they are just key cards now.
They really are.
Those discs don't have the game on them. You just put them in, the system recognizes you own it and lets you download it.
Because I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, well, what would the equivalent be for a game key card for PS5? It would be a disc that has, like, a code on it that talks to the network.
Which we already have.
Yeah. But it's like, if Sony's going to do that, they would just make physical discs. So they're not going to do that. They're never going to have their own version of a game key card. They won't do it that way.
Well, they already have that. It's called the disc without the game on it, which most of them are.
Yeah.
Most of them, the game disc is literally the key that tells your account that you own the game, and it lets you install it.
Yeah.
That's it. You're not installing the 500 gigabyte Call of Duty game I mean, that would take 14 Blu-rays in 2 days.
Yeah.
Like
Gune says key cards are the only way to sell and trade digital games. Maybe he's right.
Yeah. And look, that is a thing that arguably, like an European Consumer Protection Act could theoretically force. And I don't know what form that would take. I mean, in all honesty, you might end up with like a Switch model thing where like if you were to force Sony into that, like maybe you wouldn't have discs anymore. You'd have like essentially like a little SD card that you would put into the PlayStation and say, I own this.
Yeah.
And then like you'd have to like transfer it if you wanted to move it somewhere else.
Cinetyke says I'm 99% PC. I mean, that's the thing. People who are PC gamers, this is it. They've been this way forever. Mm-hmm. This is their life. This is how it's been forever.
Yeah. And to be, again, PC, if something goes weird or wrong, you have other options. Like, it's not a walled garden, so you can always, hoist the black flag if you need to or whatever. Mm-hmm. I have certainly found ways around copy protections or weird things on some of my old disc games even. Because I still have disc copies of my old Windows games that, like, never got a digital release. Mm-hmm. Or, like, and like you try to, like Battle for Middle Earth and things like that, and you plug them in, and it's just like it wants a fucking GameSpy login before it, and you're like, and you look on it, there's like cracks for you can get around that however you want. So yeah, there's more options on PC. It's not a proper 1-to-1 comparison.
Yeah,
but it's the closest we got, and it's worked out okay. And like none of the companies that are like running these digital storefronts have shown, even the greediest ones have ever shown any interest in stealing your games back from you and removing them from the library, really. Mm-hmm. Outside of some of the online games that like get pulled back or whatever when they're just completely done. And I'm not really worried about that.
Nox809 says, I honestly don't care. I wish they were keeping discs, but I don't care. And I think that's however most people feel.
Pretty much. I mean, I would kind of be in that same boat. Yeah. Like, do I intend to buy a bunch of discs? No. Do I want them to go away? Also, no. Like, they didn't hurt me to have discs out there. So if anything, it's an advantage if one day I wanted one.
Yeah. I've loaned you games that I had on a disc. I would not have been able to do that without if I had not bought the disc version. Mm-hmm. Yeah. AJ the Legend Watson says, between pricing and now the physical issue, the PS6 will struggle. Why buy a PS6? Seriously. That's what I was saying. Like, I think PS6 will sell 2/3 of what the PS5 has sold.
I mean, that is going to be the big question, more than maybe any other major console that's ever been released. For the PS6, the question is going to be, why should I buy this?
Mm-hmm. Erebus says, I don't give a crap about physical discs either. No.
And Sony better be thinking about the answer to that question, because that's what they're going to have to come up with. And I don't see an answer right now.
He says that he's concerned about Sony being able to get away with price controls, which we talked about.
Yeah, that is the big concern.
Yeah. It controls everything. It could take games down, put them back up. Mm-hmm. Like, if games start selling really well at a low price, they could like change the price immediately.
Yeah,
like, there's so much stuff.
If they don't have to play nice with Walmart anymore, like, nothing's stopping them from deciding their latest Last of Us game is worth $100.
Yep. J. Reed Vic 7 says, same with DVDs and Blu-rays. People whine about it on social media every day, but nobody buys them. Yep. Mm-hmm. Studios would love to be able to sell people movies or music again. Ship has sailed.
Yeah, because I mean, Matt Damon's talked about that too, where like the DVD sales of a movie used to be factored into how you're going to make your money back on that thing, and now that's gone. Mm-hmm. Like, our entire revenue stream was removed from the entertainment world because of streaming.
Swan Senpai says, honestly, no disrespect to you guys, but you two live in LA and America. This is a huge blow to the rest of the world. Poor countries where they rely on sharing and secondhand sales. There is a reason why FTP is free-to-play is taking over because it's free.
I say that every time, man. What are you talking about? I live in LA and I like I talk about it all the time, that there was a whole secondary market of like the following gen. That previous gen then gets adopted and able to be you can afford it. It's a whole secondary market of lower income. And like removing that bracket, that demographic, that audience, I think is going to damage the medium.
Don't you remember him talking about when he worked at the video game store?
Yeah. And
he literally has talked about this like dozens of times.
And in fact, I just found out that the guy who owns that store died in May. Like, he just passed away. He was 82. Gary Saxon. Huh.
Hardcore gamer.
Oh, he didn't.
He never played?
He never played. He played minor stuff. He just opened the annex behind his record store.
Oh, right.
So there's on the 25th there's going to be a celebration of his life in the parking lot.
Oh, cool.
That dude was fascinating. It was and again, that's a man who totally believed in physical media. He had a 2-story building full of vinyl that he kept forever. Right. And I remember I went back there after, about 10 years ago. I went back because I heard, vinyl was back. Obviously, it was a big boom. Mm-hmm. And I went back because he was struggling when I worked. He barely was keeping his head above water at the time. And he came back. He's doing great. And he came over and brought me, I think he showed me, I think it was AC/DC Back in Black. And he showed me that. He's like, look at that. Pull that out and look at the price tag on it. I'm like, okay. So I pull that. It's like $35. He's like, $35 for AC for Back in Black. All right. He's like, you know how much I paid for that? When everybody switched to CDs and they traded in their, you know how much I paid for that? Probably 3 cents.
Yeah.
And he's like,
people were just dumping their vinyl
He's like,
collections.
so I got 3 of those on the shelf. You know how many I have in storage back there? Hundreds. I only put 3 out at a time to make them look rare.
Like there aren't that many.
He's like, I held on to this shit for 2 decades, and now it makes me more money than I've ever seen.
That's hilarious.
Like, it's great. I'm like, man, that's fucking awesome. It was awesome. So.
Genofication over on YouTube says, hope all is well, Shane. Got an off-topic question. What do you think of the Ruck twin? Oh, he's talking about the Penguins. They just drafted twins. 2 twin guys. I think we're not
Twingans.
Yeah. I think we're not going to see him play for like 4 or 5 years. That's all I'll say about that.
Pen twins? There's a pun we can do in there.
Yeah. Cityware 7946. GTA 6 won't be as successful as GTA 5 as gaming is too expensive now. I mean, that's a legitimate concern. It is definitely being priced out. But Swan Senpai, Matt's talked about that a bunch of times. Pactor just talked about it in his episode where he talked about this. That was one of the things he talked about for the bulk of the episode was how when you do this, you eliminate the entry-level people who maybe someday they'll get hooked on gaming and maybe someday they have enough money to buy that PlayStation 6. And you're cutting all those people out when you get rid of used games. Like we've talked about it tons. I don't know what you're talking about, Swan Senpai.
And Ernesto G20 on YouTube, Matt yelling to the rest of the world to deal with it whenever the topic of fans complain about physical games came up because PC players have been getting used to it for years. Yeah, that doesn't mean I think it's a good thing. Yeah. It's because it's inevitable. Yeah, like you got to get used to it because it's going to happen. It was always going to happen. Like the companies have wanted it to happen for years, for decades, and they finally have gotten to the point where they don't feel beholden enough to the brick and mortar chains, especially Walmart. Walmart was the thing keeping game discs alive for the last 10 years, I assure you. But this was coming. This was going to happen. And yeah, you do got to get used to it. Whether you like it or not, whether we all like it or not, whether it's going to be bad or good for the industry, whether it's going to be bad or good for the medium, whether anything at all. They're doing it. Sony's doing it. Yeah. Like, that's it. Like, I don't know what else to say. Just because I tell you got to get used to it doesn't mean I like it. Right. Like, I'm going to say the same thing if we're starving to death in a fucking boxcar buried under the desert. Like, we got to get used to it. We got to figure this out or die. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. It doesn't mean I'm endorsing the Death Valley heat.
That's a funny analogy. Okay, well, I think we've reached the end of the discussion.
I only thought of that comparison because I live in L.A. Right. So.
I think there's a presumption that people who live in LA are these like elitist people who can't relate to other people. What people don't realize
I am, but I still think of those things.
What people don't realize is that the vast majority of people in LA came from somewhere else. I'm from rinky-dink Carlisle, PA, Swan Senpai. Like, that's the way this city is. It's bigger than like all but 12 states in the United States of America. LA, the city, is bigger than all but 12 states. So,
yeah, when you talk about like the kind of person in LA who would not think of that aspect of things, you're talking about someone in Bel Air who's never been outside of like
you're talking about the CEOs, the C-class. Yeah, it's not us. We've been grinding
and really you're
along,
talking about their families who are so sheltered from reality that they don't know that they don't know that people that don't look and spend and act like them play GTA.
Yeah, you know? I grew up poor, man. I'm the furthest thing from elite you're ever gonna find, man.
I will say this over and over again, probably over the next several years. I believe that cutting out the exactly what Swan Senpai is talking about, that demographic and that audience, I think cutting that audience out of gaming is going to be the downfall of the medium as we know it.
Because lower income people.
Yeah, because I think the access to games that was provided both by that secondary market and that kind of post-generation secondary market, the following generation, and access to game rentals and access to arcades all made video games accessible to every income level. And by making them just a rich person's hobby, you are making them culturally irrelevant because the rich people, while they do drive the economy, they are not tastemakers. And that means that in 20 years, you're not going to see something like, and I'm not saying this is a good show or you have to like it or blah, 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 but you're not going to see anything like Big Bang Theory making references to Mario 64 on primetime television because it's not going to play to an audience
Yeah,
outside of the elite, outside of those actual elites.
Yeah.
And you're going to see gaming like kind of fade back into that sort of niche world that it occupied pre-2000.
PC gaming used to be that way, like way back in the day.
And I'll
my
tell you what,
grandfather was like a huge exec at PPG Glass, and he was the only person that had a PC in his whole freaking neighborhood. And he had this archaic golf game on there that looked like it was God's gift to gamers at the time. But like, I mean, PC gaming used to be elitist only. Like it was really only rich people had PCs and played PC games.
Yeah, so. I only knew 2 people who had like gaming quality, like pre-Pentium, 46s basically to play Wing Commander on, and they were both very well off families.
Yeah, that's the way it was. So it came back around, and now it looks like it's headed right back there again.
I mean, it was impressive if you had a PC that didn't have that orange only monitor.
Right. That's true.
You weren't just playing SimCity on a Tandy 2000.
Yeah, Tandy. All right, it's time for us to move on. Draylox got in with Twitch Prime. Thank you, Draylox. If I missed anybody,
although that also was a little different in Europe. They had the Amiga and they had Atari.
They were
ST
on PC gaming way before.
Yeah, they had the PC gaming lockdown long before we did.
Yep. If I missed anybody who gave us Twitch Prime earlier, I apologize. We just needed to get into the show. We usually do a little bit of chat before we get into the show, but we're short on time.
The most common thing that I think most the normal kids, the normal families I knew had were Commodore 64s because those were consumer level things.
Yep, for sure. All right, it's time to move on to another story that may be bigger than the one that we just discussed. So
certainly more immediate.
Yeah, for sure. So last week we kind of started talking about this a little bit because we got rumblings that it was coming and we kind of were guessing at what might happen. Well, now it's actually happened and the Xbox reset is here. The crap hit the fan basically yesterday. They laid off, 1,600 people yesterday?
Yeah.
And there's going to be another 1,600 laid off across the next, before end of fiscal, I think is what they said.
Which is a year from now.
Yeah, because this just turned over fiscal for them. So they have 1,600 that they cut yesterday, and another 1,600 across the next 12 months. As far as...
So basically, no one is safe. Good night, everybody.
Pretty much.
Everyone who works for any of the Xbox anythings should basically is not going to sleep well for some time, I would imagine.
Yep. Here's the details that we have right now. Compulsion Games and Double Fine will become independent studios. And I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this. We're just going to repeat it here for the people who are listening to the show or watching the show and don't know. Compulsion Games and Double Fine are going independent. Again, they were independent studios before Microsoft bought them. Ninja Theory and Undead Labs have found new funding to complete Senua and State of Decay 3.
It sounds like Undead Labs is getting bought by somebody,
right.
But we don't know who yet.
Yep, but
I will be very curious to know who that is.
That announcement should be coming soon. Marvel's Blade developer Arcane Leon is in limbo and is kind of protected because there are these different labor laws in France that are protecting them. What I read is that they're only protected for a while, though, like a few months, and eventually probably they're going to get cut.
Yeah, Microsoft can afford to sort of wait out what the laws protect you from in terms of a time span. However, that does give them a lot of time to figure out what to do next.
It does.
Which is arguably the point of those laws.
Yep. And we're going to start going through. There's more. So this is just like the big top line stuff. The other thing that we just learned yesterday is that Game Pass is still at 30 million subscribers. Is that bigger than you thought or smaller than you thought,
Matt? I don't actually remember. I don't think I thought anything about
I thought it was below 30 million. I thought after they raised the price...
I don't remember what the last number we got for that was.
Well, we only knew 30... And then there was like a 2-year period where we'd assumed it was growing at some sort of rate. Then they increased the price, and then I assumed that it just went right back to 30 or below 30. But as it turns out, it's still at 30.
So maybe it did go back to 30.
Maybe.
Yeah. So there's like a missing... We don't know what happened between
that 18-month, 2-year period, yeah.
It's not a crazy assumption that the price increase caused a drop in subscribers. Now we're back to where we were.
And then that could be. Bottom line is there's still 30 million subscribers to Game Pass. That is a shit ton.
Yeah.
That is, think about the revenue of that every month that you're generating. 30 million times 23.
But apparently it's not enough.
Not when you need like a 40% profit margin or whatever, apparently. So Game Pass is actually doing better than I thought. I thought it maybe was at like 22, 25, something like that. So to find out it was at 30, I was like, oh, that's actually better than I thought it was going to be.
Sounds like a lot of people need rocket money.
Seriously?
Do you forget you're subscribed to this thing or what?
And then one of the quotes that sort of came out of this whole Xbox reset is that Xbox sees 3 to 10 times lower margins than comparable platform and publishing businesses. That was after they invested all the money in the studios. I think Asha said that they're making 64 cents back on every dollar that they spent on the acquisitions.
That doesn't seem sustainable.
Nope, not at all.
I mean, obviously not everything you buy in that kind of flurry of acquisition is going to be a winner, but it really feels like none of that worked out the way they thought it was going to. And I feel like while they didn't get hit very hard for it, Starfield has got to be one of the big weak links there, right?
So we're going to start going through like each developer individually, but we'll just talk about this one now. So Xbox told Bethesda and all its subsidiaries at id and all these...
You gotta make money. You gotta make some games.
It said you need to focus on the hits.
Yeah.
And they basically said Fallout,
I do
Elder
not
Scrolls.
disagree with them on this
either.
at all.
I don't either.
They are 100% right here.
Do you think Starfield was a mistake? I think it was.
In hindsight, yes.
Yeah.
When you just told me years ago, the people who made Skyrim and Fallout are making a space exploration game. Yeah, I fucking want that. I want that right.
I see why it was greenlit.
But it is not. It didn't turn out to be the Skyrim of space games, right? Like it did. Like I don't know what I would have done to fix. I'll tell you what I partly would have done to fix it is to do something more. I mean,
but we've gone down that.
road. All I will say is that as soon as I installed that Star Wars mod, I played this game for another 60 hours.
Right.
It was not
so it's tone and stuff.
Yeah, it was tone. I mean, again, the bones of it are still kind of dull. But the fact that there was a more coherent through line of existing in the world and the characters you ran into and the stories that were happening in the universe improved it tenfold.
How different would things be if we got the Elder Scrolls 6 2 years ago? How much different would things be on Game Pass? How much different would things be at Xbox?
I mean, again, if it was the Elder Scrolls equivalent of Starfield, I don't think it would be much.
Let's
different.
just say it's the next Elder Scrolls. It's
like if it came
almost
out,
as good as Skyrim.
If it's almost as good as Skyrim, yeah, I think we are in a different.
I mean, it literally could have changed everything.
Although you know what, only if it was Xbox exclusive.
Right. Yeah.
Only if they had the balls.
Well,
to
back
keep
then
it
it would have been.
It would have
because Starfield was, and then only post-launch they decided to launch it for other platforms. So I honestly believe if Bethesda had finished Elder Scrolls 6 instead of doing his vanity project with Starfield, that maybe everything would be different right now.
So again, I don't think Starfield was a vanity project. I think Starfield was a very natural expansion of their ideas into a new genre. And I very much believe that what they want to do with Elder Scrolls 6 I think it's so far out because they needed. No, I think they needed the whatever tech is going to be in that generation to make it work. I think the concept of whatever they're doing with Elder Scrolls 6, I think is so far beyond what the current hardware could have done when they started working on it that they knew they needed to wait. Similar to what The Witcher 4 is doing. Starfield makes a lot of sense just on paper in terms of like a pitch of like, hey, what if the guys who made Fallout and Skyrim made a Star Wars game?
Yeah,
like
I mean, I would have greenlit that game, no doubt.
Absolutely. And they're just, I don't know. I mean, we've been over that.
Yeah.
There is no reason Starfield shouldn't have been great.
Yeah.
On paper, in concept, and it just
wasn't.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Simple as that.
So, do you think it's right, though, for them to start focusing on the big stuff,
100%.
Fallout? And
I don't even think it's like make Bethesda make. I mean, stop hoarding Fallout. Like, let Obsidian make a fucking Fallout game. Because you know what? They're better at it than you are.
They are kind of better at it. They need to stop protecting and start releasing is what needs to happen.
Like, join the team, boys. Like, nobody wants to wait until 2036 for Fallout 5.
Yeah.
Like, get on with it.
Yeah. So one of the things I did forget to mention was that when I said that Double Fine and Compulsion are going independent, one thing that Xbox did is it allowed them to keep all their IP.
Which I thought they would. I figured they would not have a use for most of that.
I thought it would be like 50-50. Look, South of Midnight, Sure. Let Compulsion Games have it. Like, it's a cool game, and they worked their asses off on it, and it paid off in a lot of ways, and I really enjoyed it. It was unique and interesting, blah, blah, blah. But there's not a lot of value in that IP. The first game didn't sell
not
that
for
well.
Microsoft, no.
For Xbox, it doesn't matter. I was more surprised that they gave Psychonauts to Double Fine.
Psychonauts is not part of the zeitgeist anymore in terms of like what it is or what it is, mechanically or conceptually. It does not surprise me. It does not. I would have been more likely to bet that Microsoft would have kept South of Midnight for themselves than anything Double Fine ever made.
Really?
Yeah. Psychonauts is. I mean, look, I love Psychonauts. Like, I hope they do a Psychonauts 3 one day. I don't think they will.
Yeah. I think they will now because they're independent again.
Not unless they do another like Fig crowdfund thing with it, which is possible.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I'll play Psychonauts 3 in a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, this game just doesn't catch. Like, it's not a mainstream.
It never has. No matter how good it is, no matter how many times we tell people to buy it and how awesome it is, people don't listen to us.
But
they
great.
Simply don't listen to us.
Now, I will say, I do know a number of people that I know would love this game, and they refuse to play it because of the teeth in the first level. And you know what? Fair.
That's funny.
Sure, it is. I get it. And look, those are some lovingly rendered teeth. Like that. You can smell the mouths you're climbing around in this first level. I admit that, like, I understand it, but like now, these games are so good. I mean, everything.
Keeper and Kiln, I definitely get. It's like,
sure.
It just, I guess I'm more surprised, not because it's the specific property. It's just how much money Microsoft is willing to just waste.
Well, right,
and get
but they've
nothing
already,
back.
Well, because they've already wasted it, really. And like at this point, I do think. And I get this impression from Asha. I get this impression from the tone of basically everything they've written about it, like internally that we've seen. I don't think Microsoft is like being like nasty. about this.
They're being very cool.
Like they recognize. Like, Asha seems to recognize that hey, the previous people fucked this up.
Yeah.
And we're gonna try to make this as copacetic as we can.
Yeah.
And like the idea, like one of the best, if you're gonna let some of these studios go back to independent. One of the best ways you can do it is like, hey, everything that you made, you can just take with you.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck are they going to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's say Microsoft does keep Psychonauts. And then they like, have some other company make Psychonauts 3. Who the fuck is going to accept that?
Well, I would say, like, the IP has value. Maybe someday it's a TV show or a film.
No.
But people have rejected this. Like,
they've rejected it over and over again. And even the people who do love it, can you fucking imagine if they have Psychonauts made by some new developer they found?
Oh, that would be ridiculous.
No, Double Fine makes this or nobody makes it.
No,
so
for
what's
sure.
the point? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think you can make the argument the same thing for South of Midnight. Either Compulsion makes South of Midnight 2 with it, or nobody makes it.
Yeah.
Like, not just because like no one else would be interested in making it, probably, but because
which is probably true.
It's theirs. Like, I wouldn't want anyone other than Tim Schafer at the helm of Psychonauts 3.
Yeah.
And I guess there's the potential that like. Microsoft keeps the IP and then contracts them to make it. But if you believe in it that much, why are you getting rid of the fucking developer? Like, so it makes sense to me that they're letting everybody keep their IPs because clearly, even something. I mean, this isn't like small time indie production here. Psychonauts 2 was a major production, double A at least. I would say, but like. Clearly, that's not part of Xbox's strategy going forward. Xbox is going AAA, quadruple A, and hell or high water, and you got no room in here for this kind of stuff. South of Midnight 2 has no place, even if it had been successful, I think. It's just not what their strategy is going to be going forward.
They mentioned Quake, and I'm like, is Quake bigger than Psychonauts?
I don't know.
In 2026?
I mean,
maybe.
Probably not. But and also that apparently they killed like the whole Quake team in the process. Like, it sounds like the only people that are left at id are like the C-suite and artists.
Yeah.
Like they got rid of all the mechanical people.
It seems that way.
I mean, I had heard that id was on the chopping block right after the show last week. Like I knew some people were talking about that, but like. I mean, at least it didn't get shut down.
Right.
But like they've functionally basically barely a support studio at this point.
Well, id Tech sounds like it's gonna die
on the day that Doom Dark Ages Revelations comes out.
I know.
Like crazy.
It sounds like id Tech, the engine and all that tech is gonna die.
Yeah,
and Asha's gonna push them towards Unreal.
Yeah. Like they're basically like churn out content monkeys. Like there's And again,
I don't know that that's the answer.
I don't know if that's the answer. I will say it's probably better to start getting these games out.
Yeah.
Like, stop taking forever on this stuff. I mean, I think the fact that she said that there were like, what did she say? She said there were like chains of command that were like 8 people deep in places.
Insane,
and they're dropping, or maybe it was more like 13 or something.
Yeah, she said he wanted to cut it down to 3 levels.
Cut it down to 5 to 3 at most.
I'm like, I've never worked anywhere with more than 3 levels.
If she means that as like the chain going to the top of Microsoft, like that, that's pretty
that
good.
makes more sense.
Like I wasn't sure if she meant
that way.
If she meant to the chain to her or the chain to her bosses.
I think that was the chain in Xbox. Yeah.
I mean, that's an insane number of levels they were working with. Yeah. No wonder nothing was getting done.
I agree. Let's talk about Ninja Theory and Senua. They gave them the Hellblade franchise back.
This is, again, is it possible that Microsoft could have kept this IP and turned it into like a God of War style thing?
Or this may be more right for like a TV show or a film or something.
Microsoft doesn't seem to care about it.
It really doesn't. I mean, it did the Halo TV show, but otherwise...
Did it?
Yeah. Well, Kiki Wolfkill worked on that.
Yeah.
She worked on Halo from day one.
Let's not blame her for that. There's no reason to be mean. That show blew.
Yeah, it's bad. I tried to watch it a second time and I couldn't do it.
Again, I think one of the issues, and it seems like Asha is thinking about this game is so tied to Ninja Theory, just in terms of identity.
Yeah.
Like, the backlash of trying to let someone else make a Hellblade thing would not be worth the effort.
Yeah.
Like, so just let them have it.
Yeah.
Also,
but again,
like,
your point.
Also, like, the fact that they made this thing and did what they did with the first one and did it for as much as they did and did it as well as they did is the reason they were bought in the first place. So, like, it would be a dick move to take that away from them because that's the reason they were in that situation to begin with, and it was not their fault they're in the situation because they got acquired by this previous management that clearly had no plan going forward beyond subscribe to thing and make thing to make subscribe.
Yeah.
So, like, again, they're not being dicks about this. It's like, hey, we fucked up. We got to let you go. Here's all the stuff you brought with you. It's a very amicable breakup as best as you can in this kind of corporate situation.
I have to say I have been pleasantly impressed with how Microsoft has handled this. Like, this is what I had to tell myself.
In terms of like that macro thing, obviously they're firing way. I mean, sucks at 1,600 people losing their jobs.
When I was thinking about this show, that's when, and I said I needed to be careful about how my tone. This is what I was talking about when it came time for us to talk about the fact that the layoffs suck, but all things considered, Microsoft and Xbox have probably handled it about as good as you can.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse.
They could be totally cutthroat and take all this IP. It's completely within their legal right to do it.
Sure.
Then they turn into the next.
Now again,
sitting on a bunch of IP.
I think she seems pretty smart. I think I mean, a lot of corporate types would not have the foresight to understand, like, hey, if you try to make a Psychonauts 3 without Tim Schafer, you're going to be eaten alive.
Someone will tell her that.
Like,
but
not everyone would believe it in her position.
Yeah.
So, like, it sounds like they do understand that, like, and again, she seems very aware that she's cleaning up someone else's mess, and it's best to make a good you're still making a first impression in the process of doing that. And we'll see. Also, it sounds like my guess is that they are going to use the acquisition cost of a lot of these studios because some of it was so recent. You can probably use the acquisition cost of these studios as some kind of a write-down.
Oh, for sure.
A failure write-down.
Oh, yeah, huge write-offs.
Which not only helps mitigate what you spent on the studios, but might help mitigate what you've lost in investment in AI, which is where she came from, which makes you wonder if that's why she's in that position right now, is because she's there to also kind of clean up that mess.
Right.
In hindsight,
there's
a lot of corporate gears moving here.
There really are.
And in all honesty, as outside onlookers and as people who really are the skin we have in this game is whether or not we're going to get to play the games by some of these people who are some of the most talented developers and artists in the industry and in the medium, really. And like, if the end result of this is that I get to play more games by Ninja Theory and Double Fine and Compulsion in the future, great.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Let's talk about a couple more studios. Let's go back to Arcane Leon. They're working on Marvel's Blade right now. I do also think that the news that came out about Todd Howard visiting that studio and saying he was impressed with what he saw, I think he knew what was coming.
Sounds like it.
And I think he was getting a word out there, if not to the people at Xbox and Microsoft, to the people in the development community.
And it also looks like that Xbox showcase really was a a resume.
Really, it
machine.
was almost like a sales pitch.
Yeah, it's like,
hey,
look, if anyone's interested, here they are.
Seriously. So Arcane Leon also made Deathloop, which was a Game of the Year winner at a bunch of publications. So some of these others, here's the thing, Matt. The problem with all of this is that none of these studios that we keep talking about have ever made a real hit. I'm not talking about something that sells 3 million units. I'm talking about the game that you make that people flip out over, and it becomes this viral thing on the internet.
A generational hit.
That sells 20, 30 million units. Xbox and Microsoft have not been able to do it. And that is the problem. But these studios that they bought also have never made games like that.
Yeah, well,
like I could have told
Bethesda
them.
has.
Right.
Like,
but all the other ones in Blizzard, but all the other ones, they haven't.
But it's also like kind of that thing where it's like, okay, like you probably bought Bethesda and id expecting that, and they haven't delivered that.
Yeah.
But the others, you can't really expect.
Although
that
id hasn't had a huge hit in quite a while. The first Doom reboot, I think, did sell like 12 or 13
pretty well,
million.
But like, obviously, again, not a generational, but some of that's being stuck on Xbox.
Yeah, but Xbox just doesn't have that game that sells 50 million
machine
units.
games to make more Wolfenstein.
But I think that's the problem with Xbox is like, even if they keep churning out the games, they're not the games that are like business changers, that are like needle movers.
Well, Arcane was never that. I mean, maybe Arcane
none of them have been.
Arcane could have been with Blade. Blade would be a high level.
If they delivered on it, that could be one. But they haven't, and none of them have. And so, I mean, a lot of this stuff is happening now. We could have told them this 8 years ago when they were talking about buying these places. Like,
I mean, I think Starfield, is one of the few outcomes that we would not have necessarily predicted in terms of how it turned out. I think most of these other situations were like, did we think Psychonauts 2 was going to burn the charts up? Of course not. Would we have thought Kiln would catch? Of course not.
We said it wasn't going to. No. When I reviewed it, I said this is a waste. Why? I can't believe they greenlit this project. If you just it's a MOBA where you play as a piece of pottery. Yeah. How do you expect to succeed when you're greenlighting games? Before that, they greenlit a game where you play as a lighthouse. I mean, how do you expect to have success with these crazy...
I like that game.
Right, they're cool as shit, but they're so niche. Like, you're not going to win.
But, of course, you can get away with that if you want it to be sort of a complete library sort of
for
thing.
Game Pass.
Right. Game Pass. Or if you just want it to be a... movie studios used to have that. You had these little... you had all kinds of genres, you had all kinds of movies. The smaller ones did this, and the bigger ones kept the smaller ones afloat. And it was a point of pride that you covered all the bases in terms of what anyone might want to see. Yeah. You could go to that studio and get something from it.
I mean, I do that with content on SIFTD. Like, I try to make sure that, like, with the resources that we have, that I make sure that if somebody just subscribed to SIFTD, they get everything that they need for a month. They may want to go somewhere else and get extra opinions or whatever, but ultimately, they can deal with just SIFTD's content. And it's the same thing in any creative space.
Right,
like,
but nobody does that anymore. Right. Certainly not at the level that Microsoft's at.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Microsoft's going to pivot to quadruple A, for lack of a better stupid buzzword.
And it has been unable to do that.
It has. I mean, again, they are not wrong to go to Bethesda and say, you give us Elder Scrolls 6 ASAP.
Yeah, like everybody over here, get them over there.
We need something to... give them something to talk about, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe...
Like, how about you guys whip up a freaking trailer for the game?
Yeah.
Like, so that we can show in the next, 12 months. So people know it still freaking exists.
It's been longer since they announced it than it was between Skyrim's release and the announcement.
Yeah. It's bonkers.
Like, it's... Clearly, they didn't want to announce it then. Like, it was put out... because... That was this. I will always maintain that Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 were announced when they were, because they knew Fallout 76 was going to be a disaster that year.
It could be.
Like, they wanted to give you something else to distract you and think about and look forward to, so that if you hated Fallout 76 or Fallout 76 came out and fell flat on its face, you're like, well, at least Starfield and Elder Scrolls are coming.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to. This doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
But who knew we were going to be stuck? How about just like getting an Xbox showcase where the fucking Elder Scrolls theme starts up, and I suddenly don't have that thing where I'm like, oh, it's Elder Scrolls Online.
Right.
It's like,
well,
which, by the way, has been keeping you fucking afloat in places for how long? And, you fired how many people off that team now, too? Like, they didn't do anything. I mean, that game has been performing exactly how it should be forever, and they still got hit.
Well, today, one of the former employees who left in 2024 just unloaded He's like, bro, I worked there. We kept everybody else afloat. We paid for all these projects that failed. Now all of a sudden they want to cut half of the like he did not hold back, man. He was just like,
I don't blame him.
I don't either.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. But here's the thing. This is happening all over. So these other studios aren't getting cut, but they are getting cut.
And it's like, look at this. By the way, here's your live service hit.
Right.
Here's your live service game. Yeah, here it is. And these people still aren't safe.
Yeah. Yep.
There's no way to win.
Yeah. So Undead Labs, State of Decay 3, they have been cut loose. It sounds like they already have a new buyer, and they're allowed to take State of Decay with them. This may have been the one franchise that Microsoft maybe should have tried to hold on to.
It just doesn't sound like they want to have they have these things like they don't want to be in a meeting with the top brass and explain to them what State of Decay is.
Yeah.
They want to be able to say Halo, Gears, Fable, Forza, Skyrim, Fallout.
I've heard of all those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know those names. That's the name of the movie.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, I'm glad that they gave them State of Decay. I'm glad the game's going to continue to be developed. I hope the new owner gives them the time to finish the game.
Yeah, I hope the new owner knows what they're getting into.
Yeah, exactly.
I presume they are.
Yeah.
I presume they do.
So, Obsidian mostly escaped. It lost 25% of its team. It feels like, Matt, a lot of this was like, okay, we know we're going to cut these studios and games, and that gets us to X number of people, and that leaves us with Y number of people we still have to get rid of. Let's just divide that by the remaining 10 studios, and all of them have to cut 80 people or whatever.
Yeah, like it felt...
That's what it feels like.
It's funny that the cuts to the studios that are staying felt way more arbitrary than how they cut the studios that they cut.
Yeah, seriously. So Obsidian, and I saw a quote from someone at Obsidian. They're like, what? Like, we can't tell you, but we have so many projects in development right now. And there is no way in hell we can make those projects with cutting these people. So, but again, Obsidian's another victim of this. Like, they make pretty good games. They don't make quad A games. They don't make games that sell systems. And
I think they make games that could, but they just don't.
They just don't. Yeah.
Like, Outer Worlds 2 should have been a much bigger hit than it was.
Agreed. I agree.
It probably shouldn't have been $80, but that's not Obsidian's fault.
Well, I thought they changed that before the end, before they put it out.
Yeah, I think so.
They went back to 70.
It wasn't digitally.
Yeah.
I don't think.
It went back to 70 before they never did ship it at 80. Because they figured it out, that people were not resonating with it, and they're like, oh, like, that $80 thing, I'm going to take that one back.
But again, it's crazy that they haven't, I mean, maybe they have, but I don't know, internally we don't know about it, but it's crazy they haven't handed them a Fallout. It's still, like, of all the TV and the media stuff that Microsoft has attempted, the only thing that really worked out properly is Fallout, and they have nothing to drive people to for that. Yeah. The idea that they didn't get a Fallout New Vegas remaster or a Fallout 3 remaster or an Obsidian Fallout game or Fallout anything. I mean, other than like weird events in Fallout 76, which is like not at all what I would push a casual person towards in any way. I wouldn't have any of them play. You know, there's people I know who love Fallout the series. They're like, how can I play that? I'm like, I'm just gonna explain to you how to play Fallout 3 on your Xbox because I am not gonna put you in Fallout 76 and fucking deal with that result.
I don't want you calling me about that.
That's gonna have to be tech support and shit. Yeah. How do you do this, man? I don't know. I never figured out what you're supposed to do when that thing pops up on Fallout 76. I just close it and hope it doesn't bother me later.
Yep, I hear you. Yeah, and so if we keep going down, the id, we talked about that a minute ago. Id was chopped up, and basically they just laid off the entire or half of the Doom team as they just wrapped up the Revelations expansion.
They killed that. They killed all the testing department. Like
the engine people are gone.
Sounds like at least half id is gone.
I saw John Romero today. He sent a message out to the people at id saying, "Yo, like." When I left there, I went in and made sure all this stuff was preserved. Can somebody there please
come pull this out? And I hope you're doing well.
Right.
But in a real way, not a Sandy Peterson way.
Exactly. So id, does it even exist anymore? Or is the Halo team going to make Doom games now?
It sounds like id does not exist as a functional development studio right now in terms of who they gutted.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they can't bring them back, but right now it sounds from what the people were posting from id that like id is kind of a support studio at best right now.
Yeah.
Which is funny considering they listed Doom and Quake as things
the properties they want to make sure they go in
they want
on.
to focus on.
Yep. Confusing. Again, I think it was just arbitrary. Like, when they started cutting from the studios that they were not going to cut completely, it feels like they just divided the number of employees.
I mean, a lot of this feels like they just like, okay, we'll cut this, and we'll just like...
We'll figure it out.
We'll bring it back to like the status we needed to function later, basically.
It's really bizarre. Here's the
Because remember, they're probably about to hit a point where they're going to be able to lay off a bunch of people from Playground once Fable's done, and then they'll probably shift that hiring over to somewhere else.
Yep.
I mean, if they're going to keep this as some sort of consistent number of people across the entire development studio board, I don't know. That seems like a dumb way to do that, but it kind of feels like that's what they're doing.
Yep. Now, again, I want to preface what I'm about to say with, I totally understand that these are human beings who are losing their jobs that affect their children and their spouses and all this. But here are the games, Matt, that all the studios produced that are now getting cut. This is every game that they've produced since the acquisition. Psychonauts 2, Deathloop, though don't forget, that was a PlayStation 5 exclusive.
Yeah. That deal was already done.
Yep. Yeah. Redfall, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, Keeper, South of Midnight, and Kiln. Those are all the games that were produced by these studios that they just cut. Mm-hmm. There's not a hit in the entire batch. Not even like a vague hit. So, again, it sucks that it's happened, but this all makes sense, Matt. Mm-hmm. It all makes sense. And it also makes Phil look absolutely horrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least they're cutting them loose and not shutting them down.
Right. Phil Spencer looks so bad through all of this. I mean, and Asha has started throwing him under the bus, too, with some of her quotes.
Yeah. I mean, what option does she have at this point? It's like, there's only so much corporate speak you can do before you're finally, it's like, you know what? Like,
it's not working.
I didn't break it, you know?
Also, Asha said that she wants 1 billion people a day to interact with Xbox. Right now, there are 50 million people who go to Steam per day.
That seems like a lot.
It just feels like there's...
I mean, if you mean like 1 billion people read the word Xbox, maybe? Like,
even then.
You could do that with some blimps in the right places, probably. But, like, that seems... I don't know if everybody really knows how many 1 billion is these
I don't think they do. Here's what I think is going to happen.
What, 1/8 of the planet to engage with a video game console brand? That seems optimistic.
Yeah. What I think is going to happen based upon all of this is I think that they are going to take day one games away from Game Pass. And that Game Pass is going to be all back catalog with new indies. And they're going to set it at like a $10 a month tier charge. I think they're going to keep exclusives to Xbox and PC for 12 months, maybe 18 months. Then release them for PS5 and Switch. That's what I think they're going to do. What do you think they're going to do?
I don't know. It depends how much they how committed they are to making Xbox a self-contained brand that is independent of the competition. Because for a while there, it really looked like Xbox wasn't interested in competing.
Right.
And if they are now, I mean, look, do you want to win this war? Elder Scrolls 6 is exclusive to Xbox. If you want to play Elder Scrolls 6, you own a Windows machine or you own an Xbox.
That could be the game changer.
That's
like,
it.
It literally could move.
Do you want to play Skyrim 2, which is what you're really talking about here? You got to buy an Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only leverage they have.
It might even be smart to call it Skyrim 2. I hate to admit it.
Well, it's gonna be called Redguard
I know.
or whatever Hammerfell.
I'm just saying, like, if you're really desperate, that might be your play there.
You are correct, because like most people do not understand that Skyrim is not the actual name. That game actually gets filed under E.
It's true. Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like,
is any of this gonna work, Matt? Do you think? Is it gonna help turn around Xbox in any way?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I mean,
it feels like it's over.
Honestly, like, I'm more optimistic about like Compulsion and Double, because at least
where
they're
they
free.
Go. Yeah.
Like, you know, maybe Undead Labs has a chance now. Like, you know, like, and you know what? Now State of Decay 3 can be on PlayStation.
Well, these studios could also go somewhere where they're the top hog.
Yeah.
And they're the belle of the ball, instead of being at Xbox where they're literally like development studio number 43 or something crazy like that. Like, you could go to Saber and be like the best studio that Saber
Interactive
had to
email
has.
13 people before they got to talk to Phil.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let's check in with you guys on this stuff.
I mean, at least they're away from that situation now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's probably a more complicated, more difficult financial one. But like, hey, we might get more Double Fine games now. We might get South of Midnight 2.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Swan Senpai says, I think Phil just wanted to be liked.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, I think that's not that far off of the truth. Like, he's just one of those guys. I mean, he's a nice guy. Mm-hmm. He's a good guy. Like, you hang around with Phil, you like Phil. Like, I get why he had the position that he had and how he moved up through corporate whatever. And, like, he started basically in dev and testing and stuff. Like, but
there was an element of that management that didn't want to crack the whip.
Yeah.
And they probably needed to.
He was probably a little too nice. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
And in all honesty, you know what? At least all those games you listed came out.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah.
Where the fuck is the other stuff we were waiting for?
Gune clarified the one quote that I attributed to Asha. He says the actual quote is, in a typical year, we lost 64 cents for every dollar we invested, which is still basically the same thing, but more clarification there. Cinetyke says it feels like Xbox still has the same problem. Don't put out enough big hits. That's what I was saying.
Yep.
Erebus, point of order, just check Steam and the Xbox app. Skyrim is filed under T for the... That's hilarious, which it shouldn't be.
That is true. The Outer Worlds is also down there in the T's.
Yeah. Gune says...
Come on, Gabe. What are you doing?
Gune says, why buy it on Xbox when you could buy it on PC and play on GeForce Now with the best graphics? Because it's more expensive, or at least it used to be, to build a PC. I mean,
nowadays. I don't know.
Now, not so much.
I mean, I agree. I don't have a reason to have an Xbox because I have a capable gaming PC.
I mean, if you have a really good gaming PC, there is no reason to have an Xbox at all.
No.
None at all.
Unless you really want to play Mech Assault 2.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, no, I don't think that's backwards compatible. So
yeah.
That's why
for a while there were games that weren't coming out on both, but now that's not the case.
No, it's all... There's really no reason. Play Anywhere, there's no reason.
Yeah. Vincent says... Vincent, are you saying the $10 tier with just back catalog and no day one exclusives as Game Pass Premium now for $10?
I don't remember what any of those tier.
It's hard to remember those tiers because there were 4 or 5 of them. Now I think those are all wiped out. I had just learned those, and then they completely turned Game Pass upside down. Cinetyke said they also wanted 100 million Game Pass subs. Yeah, I mean they could still get there someday.
Good to want things.
Yeah. Vincent says Phil did the only Hail Mary that could have worked.
I mean, the concept of what he was doing isn't like a bad idea, no, and it just didn't piece it together properly.
Yeah. Swan Senpai, are we getting Forza 8 or is that team gone? It's gone.
Turn 10 was already gone.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Any team on hand, Halo 6 Master Chief wakes up in Doom. Seriously, I mean that's.
You know what? I've heard worse ideas for Halo 6. Also,
that actually sounds interesting.
Wouldn't it be Halo 7?
It would be 7. Yeah. I guess
Infinity
if you count Infinite as 6. Yeah. I don't know if they do actually officially. Jerry Vic 7 says, and the Fallout TV show, they literally had nothing to do with, already in place when they bought the studio. Yeah. Anything
and then they're very bad at capitalizing. I mean, again, that was also ZeniMax, because ZeniMax and Bethesda were not prepared to capitalize on that show either, which is weird.
Eve Demon says, Microsoft is still funding all the projects of the studios they are getting rid of. No. I mean, they will until they're officially no longer employed at Microsoft, but they're not going to, allow Saber Interactive to buy the studio and continue funding the development of those games. That's not going to happen. They also, State of Decay 3, Microsoft already said, that doesn't even have to come on Game Pass now. You can do whatever you want with it. Over on YouTube...
They got to get that on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I think.
Majora Tom Leet over on YouTube. It feels like Microsoft is just trying to stage off the inevitable of becoming a software publisher.
Probably.
Yeah, which probably is the right decision.
I think pivoting to software, being a software brand was probably the right... But somewhere in that Microsoft hierarchy, someone believes... Someone, I guess, is trying to continue to fulfill Bill Gates' wish that we stay in the video game industry at all costs.
Mm-hmm. Erebus says, to be fair, I keep my Xbox because Call of Duty is unplayable for all the cheating on PC. Console is the way forward for that. I mean, there's still cheating on console, but I will say this. There's way more cheating on PlayStation than there is on Xbox because people just don't care about Xbox. More people are playing PC, and the cheating is way worse there. Or, I'm sorry, on PS5. Justin Horman says, before I forget. All right, Justin, before we move on, we'll wait for you to type your next message. Vincent says, Microsoft's other big misstep of recent times is delaying a Halo Infinite a year and leaving Xbox Series without a launch title. That is true. But, I mean, in the end, I think they had to. Justin Horman subscribing at Tier 3. Thank you, brother.
That was one of the big things was, basically their schedule got pushed back a year, in part because of 2020, because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And like none of it panned out the way like I think the original plan was.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that would have mattered necessarily, but like there was that period with Xbox Series where it's just like, oh, there's just nothing. It was just nothing. It was a drought.
Ernesto G20 says Sarah Bond deserves some blame too. She's not getting off that easy. I've read some stuff about Sarah Bond over the last week that was very discouraging. That she was. I don't want to get into it. It was hearsay. I don't want to. mention it.
Although some of it's just like, well, I guess I understand why they didn't keep you. I guess.
Right. I guess that's what I'll finish on. Is like now I see why she's gone. Yeah. Ammo Clip 21. Thank you as well for subscribing at Tier 1. That's awesome. Will we also be alive to see a new Fallout or Elder Scrolls? I mean, it depends on how old you are, Swan Senpai.
I mean, clearly it's their priority. Like, you need to make these games. But again, we don't even know if the Fallout stuff is in development at all yet. I mean, it sounds like they were backburning 5 until after they were done with Elder Scrolls 6, which means like you're talking about a 5-year development cycle, maybe. Like, Elder Scrolls 6 probably isn't going to be ready for another 4 or 5 years. Like, there's not a whole lot we can do.
I mean, if I were Asha, I would just be cracking the whip on Bethesda, man. It just takes way
Get that
too
Fallout
long.
3 remaster out. Get a version. Maybe do a remake of Fallout New Vegas that works. You know, that you don't, because right now the only real way to play New Vegas, if you're honest, is to play it on PC and mod it to within an inch of its life. So what if you just made a new remake of it that all worked, was more relatively bug-free, had all the content in it, and maybe incorporated a bunch of the mods and stuff that have made it more playable over the years. Sort of like what Skyrim did.
Yeah. To me, Bethesda and Blizzard are the two properties that Xbox owns that could move the needle and change its fate.
See, I don't think Blizzard
even more so than like Halo Studio, StarCraft. Like, I mean, Blizzard has so much stuff.
See, I don't think Blizzard is. Not anymore.
I mean, Diablo 4 was kind of a chance for that to happen, and it didn't.
It didn't. I don't think Blizzard has the people to do that anymore. I think Blizzard is a name that meant something that is now applied to a walking corpse of a corporation. Like all those IP in there.
Ever since BlizzCon 2018.
Yeah, what, aren't you on phones? I just don't. The people that made Blizzard what it was don't work there anymore.
It's true.
You know, it's just
Rare's like that too. Rare survives. No cuts, no anything.
Nothing happened to Rare. What?
I guess Sea of Thieves is good enough to keep them all. I don't know. Bizarre.
Fucking cockroach.
That one I don't get. I mean, but that's a studio that like all the talent left, and it's never been the same.
But that studio, it was like the instant Microsoft bought it, it just became garbage.
It did.
Like they haven't done anything of note for me anyway. I mean, that's not the Sea of Thieves isn't successful or of note.
Yeah.
Like I get why people. It's not for me, but I get it. You want to play music on a ship with beautiful wave technology. There's not a whole lot of other options out there. But it's just like, like as soon as they bought Rare, just Grabbed by the Ghoulies happened, and then just it never got any better. It's like
Cameo. They launched a couple of games they had been working on for
Perfect
GameCube.
Dark Zero. Which is his own problem.
And after that,
Viva Pinata was good.
Yeah,
but it's like again
that was a game they worked on with Nintendo and
also not probably what you bought Rare for.
Definitely
in terms
not.
of financial success.
I mean, that was the same deal. They bought them, never got the big smash hits from Rare like they thought they're going to get. Same deal. All right.
You know what would maybe move that needle is if you just let them make another Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
Like a real Banjo-Kazooie.
I saw somebody mention that to him the other day. I think, who was it?
Or a Conker's Bad Fur Day.
And it was someone from Xbox.
Can you imagine a fucking safety off Conker game
in 2026
in 2027?
Like, oh my god. They can't do it anymore. They don't have the people there that are funny like they did at Rare. They lost them.
You theoretically, I mean, you could go find them. You have money. You can hire
people. Back. You really can. Yeah.
You bring those people back. You bring new people in.
Yeah. There's lots of good people available out there right now.
Go get Jonah Nolan to write you a Conker game. I bet he could do it.
Probably could. Yep. All right. Next up, we're going to review Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. How do you feel about them taking the 4 out of the title? Why do you think they did that? Just to shorten it?
Because they haven't numbered them in forever.
Yeah.
That was the last one that had a number.
That is the last one, actually, now that I think about it. So you think they're just doing it to fall in line with the way they end up doing things?
They don't want you to think about it.
Yeah. It probably helps with any confusion as well. Makes it a little more obvious that it's...
There's no reason to play these things in any order anyway.
No, you're right. Yeah. And one thing I will say too, Matt, is...
Like, I guess, there are characters in Black Flag that are in 3, so, is sort of but it's all it takes place before that, isn't it?
I think it's
because you're dealing with Hatham and some of the
there's like other, it's like, or maybe it's like a side loaded
thing. Is it side? So I'm like, well, yeah, because like Rogue, you deal with the younger days of Achilles, Connor's mentor, and why he's so bitter,
right?
Because of what happened with Shay.
Yeah.
So it's all in that same time period. But like, it doesn't really matter what order you play them in.
Yep. Well, this one, if you may remember, here's the thing. I do wonder what people are going to remember about this and what they won't, because I'll admit, Matt,
they remember sea shanties and they remember cannonballs. That's it. That's all that is. That's all Black Flag is.
I mean, I will admit I had forgotten a lot about this game. Playing it again, and I think this may be one that I did not review. I think maybe this is a rare Assassin's Creed that I never reviewed.
I don't remember. I don't think I reviewed this. I mean, by the time this came out, I think I was like too busy with editorial stuff to review stuff very often. Certainly not something this big.
Typically, I was the Assassin's Creed guy at Game Trailers, and I reviewed pretty much all of them, but this one I did not.
The only thing this
may have come out after I left, actually. What was this, 2013?
Yeah.
Yeah, then it came after I left, which is why I never reviewed it. Yeah.
This would have been, this would have been after that, after G4 ended, because G4 ended at the end of 2012. But I didn't really review a lot of Assassin's Creed by then. The only thing that I really stayed on the reviewing probably to the end is Star Wars stuff.
Okay.
No one else wanted to do it, really.
Well, this takes place in the early 18th century. Like, what you're seeing right now is 1715, but as you play the game, the years wear on. And it takes place in the Caribbean. Like, some of the first places you visit are Havana and Nassau. Nassau ends up being like this pirate paradise, this utopia that they're setting up where pirates can go and not be prosecuted or whatever, which is pretty funny. You play as a pirate named Edward Kenway.
They call it the Dark Web.
Yeah, seriously. You play as a pirate named Edward Kenway, and as the thing starts, he's on a pirate ship. He's just a part of the crew. The ship blows up, shipwrecks. He ends up getting washed up on the beach, and that's kind of what kicks the whole thing off. One of the big sort of side angles on this is they keep flashing back to him with his girlfriend. And when he goes to leave to go on this trip that ends up in a shipwreck, she begs him not to go and says, we don't need the money. Like, we just need each other, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it'll only be a year, maybe 2 years max. And throughout the course of the game, it keeps cutting back to those moments with his girlfriend where he promises her that he'll be back in 2 years. As things keep getting crazier and it becomes more and more obvious that there's no way in hell he's going to make it back in 2 years. So that's sort of the underlying tension of the game. But really the overarching plot is him motivated by her to honestly become a better person. So when you first start playing this game, you're the bad guy. You're the pirate. You're the one going around robbing people, stealing from people. You don't care about pretty much anything but money. And over the course of the game, he meets the assassins, and they're like, at first their meeting is not copacetic. Like, they're basically rivals in the beginning, and he has to win over the trust of the assassins. As he spends more time around the assassins and goes on missions with them, he starts to understand their order and their tenets and what they live by, and that they live by this honor code. And this game is really all about him turning into a decent person, is really what it is. And it really is great the way that they do it. It's not like there's this one moment where all of a sudden he has this eureka moment where he's like, oh, I'm a good guy now. It really is this slow grind of like moments in his life where he sees where being a pirate, as he has been his entire life, is detrimental to society as a whole. And it really is like a really great redemption story that I could not wait to see the end of. And again, I have played this. I had forgotten so much about it. Like, I really forgot how good the story was in this and how good the characters are in this.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all, and I played this game twice.
Yeah.
Because he gets lost in all the eavesdropping missions and the just, it's all so spread out.
Uh-huh. Also, I don't know if you figured out or not, this game is flipping gorgeous.
I like that even on a pirate ship, he took the time to shave his armpits.
Yeah, I noticed that too. They just didn't want to obviously model
They don't want to model that, I guess. Yeah. They did model his chest hair.
They did, yeah. This game is running on the same engine as Assassin's Creed Shadows. It has the fruit stuff, the rolling around on the ground, and you can kick around like a soccer ball. It has all the same stuff as Assassin's Creed Shadows, but it's all set in the Caribbean. And this game is a stunner. a stunner. Playing this in 1080p blew my mind when I was recording footage of it to start. And then when I went out and put it on my OLED 4K TV, it blew my freaking mind. Easily one of the best looking games on the market right here. No doubt about it.
Just like Shadows.
Seriously. Like, the upgrade in this is so freaking drastic. Like, it, again, that's why we show you guys the B-roll in our show and other people don't, because it can really make a big impact. And I hope watching this at home right now, you're seeing what I'm feeling about this game. It is just absolutely stunning. So the story in this game is great. And best of all, what I like about it, Matt, is that they managed to make it last for the entirety of the game. It's not like you get 15 hours in, you're like, well, that's kind of wrapped up. Now I'm just running around, like, erasing icons off the map. Like, the story in this really sticks with it the whole way through.
Well, and some of that I'd have to play the original again to really remember if it does that, because I don't remember it doing that too well in the original. In part because you kept having to jump back to the real world and being a Ubisoft employee for an hour or so at a time, which, as I understand, is not in this anymore.
Well, so they're optional. So as you travel around, you find these rifts that are just kind of sitting on the shoreline or whatever, and you can park your boat and swim ashore and enter the rift. And they go into these, like, 30, 40-minute long puzzle platforming things.
Right, but I mean the ones where you had to go into the Ubisoft offices. And,
oh, no, they've cut that out.
Yeah.
Which is a little strange, but now because they don't do it, it's like it kind of aligns with the new releases, I guess.
Yeah,
but
we don't talk about the modern day stuff.
We really
anymore,
don't.
Really.
Yeah. And they've cut it out of this, but there are still weird animus rifts, like, located throughout the world that you go into. And there are these weird, like, surreal puzzle platforming things that, and I will say, they drag the game down, but they're optional. So I would just recommend to anybody
watching. They always
watching,
have since Revelation.
Yeah. So I would just say, anyone who's watching this or listening to this, don't do it. If you see them on the shoreline, I know it's going to be tempting to go and do them. They suck. Stay away from them. And the other reason I would say to stay away from them is because the rest of this game is really freaking good. I guess what I would say is that it is a little, the scope is toned down in some ways, but then I was pleasantly surprised by how in other ways it's far more robust. So the questing system and stuff like that in Shadows, far advanced over this. Like, this is the traditional Assassin's Creed game where the map pops up, there's a billion icons, you got to try to find the one exclamation point that's like the main quest line amid like 50 other exclamation points that are the side stories or whatever. But that's pretty much how you get the quest. You can just fast travel wherever you want to go and do your quest. Whereas with Shadows, you had that whole hierarchy of people that you're trying to assassinate, and it was more involved. However, in this, you have these other systems. Like Shadows, you also have a homestead in this that you build up, and it's your own little crib that you can go back to and blah, blah, blah. But the other part of it is the whole pirate's life, which is managing your ship and managing your crew and managing your fleet. So as you play through this game and you're out in the open world in the ocean, you'll come across boats, you fight them, you take them down. You can either sink them or you can add them to your fleet. And once you've added them to your fleet, you assign somebody to be the captain, and then you go into this whole other interface where you can assign your ships to go on these missions, and that's when the game turns almost into like a Caribbean, like, empire simulation. But throughout it all, the story, his story of him with his love back at home and him turning into a human being through interactions with the assassins, that never lets up.
That's interesting, because I'm going to guess that is one of the changes they made, because I do not recall, I don't even remember he had a girlfriend.
Wow. Really?
This game's story never made much of an impression on me. It was all the setting and what you were doing. Like, you could not put a gun to my head, I wouldn't know what Edward Kenway's story was in the original game.
That's interesting.
So this certainly sounds like they fleshed it out more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true.
He's a real jerk at first, and someone you don't want to root for.
I mean, he's kind of a real jerk anyway.
He kind of is, yeah.
He has more noble motivations, but if you're on the wrong side of him, he's still I don't know.
Yeah.
So, they're all kind of dicks.
It is Assassin's Creed.
I mean, Shay's story in Rogue is kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Fairly decent Irishman. Yeah. learning to be a Templar.
Yeah.
And with all the nastiness that comes with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell he's bad because he becomes a real estate mogul.
That's a good point. So anyway, this is an open world game. It is a true open world game. The map is gigantic. You can go wherever you want. The fast travel system is awesome. Once you visited someplace, you can fast travel there. And that is one thing I would say is that, like, if you want to, you can cut out a lot of the boat stuff. Like, if you don't want to sail and fight other ships or do any of that stuff, you don't have to do it all that often.
But that's what we're here for.
Because it is what separates it.
The fast travel in the original game, I used it to jump between places on land because I don't want to run around through
you can do that too.
Plantations and cities all day.
Yeah. But you can use it on a micro level, on a macro level, global level. It's all very handy and cuts down all the tedium, I think, from this game. Like, after I had played it for 20-some hours, I was ready to start using the fast travel points, Matt. It's like, I've seen all this stuff. The other thing I would say, too, is that this, more than other Assassin's Creed games, the visuals and the environment does get repetitive in this game. It's very hard to tell the difference between one island or another. All the buildings are only a few stories high.
Yeah, I mean...
Because historically, that makes sense.
Welcome to the Caribbean.
Uh-huh.
They're all kind of the same island.
They are. And so it does...
Just like environmentally speaking.
Yeah. So it does get a little monotonous compared to Shadows. It became more monotonous. Because it all is the same. Like, these bushes that you use for cover, those bushes are the whole game. Like,
you can't really get to a different area. I mean, that's one of the things I like better about Rogue is Rogue has like snow areas and ice areas and normal areas and green area.
Yeah.
Because it ranges from like the New England area up to the Arctic, you have a little more variety.
Yeah. Well, this one you do not. And what you're seeing right in this B-roll is pretty much what the whole game looks like. It's still gorgeous.
Like, this place is more where I'd want to go on vacation.
Right.
But Rogue is a more interesting setting for this kind of game.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it does get a little repetitive, but again, like, the story's great. The other thing I would say, too, is the pacing of this game is great, and it lets you pace it how you want. Like, you can just dawdle along in the sea, searching for ships to fight and take down, trying to build your fleet, or you can head on land. And, like, I'll say this, Matt, I have not got caught up in icon chasing in an Assassin's Creed game for a really long time. And for some reason, this game got me, man. Like,
because you're on a boat.
I guess.
I bet you never thought you'd be there.
It's crazy. Like, I find myself synchronizing an area and then dropping down and getting every chest. And another thing that you collect in this are shanty songs, as you mentioned earlier. And so I find myself chasing after the shanty songs, because those are actually things that move around, you have to catch, and getting all the chests. I've wasted, I don't know how many hours, just doing whatever in this game instead of going down the main quest. And I have not done that in Assassin's Creed for a long time. I'm not 100% sure why I'm doing that, why this is happening.
You're doing it all for your grog.
I guess. Yeah. But the ship is crazy customizable, both cosmetically and like RPG, like building it up with abilities with a stronger hull and taking less damage and adding guns to the side, adding guns to the front, to the back. There are mortars in this, so you can attack things that are on the land, and that's a big part of the game too. Is like cruising your ship up across land and using your mortars to attack things that are on land while they're trying to attack you with mortars. There's just, despite the repetitive environment and the fact that a lot of it looks the same, albeit gorgeous, the gameplay really is very varied in this. Talking about like the combat, like R1 is your light attack, R2 is your heavy attack. There's modifiers, so if you hold R2, it completely changes everything that the face buttons do. There's obviously a sprint button. There's a perfect parry. So if you followed me reviewing Assassin's Creed through the years, I always complained about counter kills. It was this thing that was in like the first 3 games, and you could just stand there and literally take out like 300 enemies. They just take their turns getting taken out. There's something kind of similar in this, like called the perfect parry, where if you parry at the perfect time, it staggers the enemy, and then all you got to do is tap triangle to assassinate them. And that really becomes like the vast majority of the combat.
I mean, that's Shadows too.
Yeah.
That's what Noi did.
Yep. And
although clearly he is a more adept fighter than she is toe-to-toe.
The window for doing that in this is pretty generous. Like, it's very easy to get the perfect parry. And so that a lot of my fights, like, I just stand there and just wait for them to attack. And just do the perfect parry, triangle. Perfect parry, triangle. Perfect parry, triangle. There are guns in this. There is a dart gun in this as well, where you can just put people to sleep. it doesn't last long enough.
More importantly, you make them go berserk.
Yeah, berserk darts too, and then they'll attack like their teammates or whatever, and those are the most fun darts. And you can even like level those up. So there's also a huge hunting element to this, where you go out and get pelts. You use those pelts to upgrade your gun holster, to upgrade pretty much everything in the game. But I would not call this an RPG. Like, I still feel like it's an action
adventure game.
Yeah. It doesn't quite cross over to that line. And
They never crossed over to the RPG line, I think, until Origin.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Origin, Odyssey, and Valhalla are action RPGs. I think every other game in the series is an action adventure. Even Shadows. Shadows pulls away from the RPG.
A little bit. Yep.
Because people forget that the ancient trilogy had like skill trees and XP and all. You know, they were straight up RPGs.
They were. Yeah. And
this feels like the right balance
mix
of where Assassin's Creed should be. If you're not going to go fully back to the old style, like, this is about where it should. With the inventory thing works, the equipping everything works. Like, it gives you enough depth without like distracting you with it, I guess.
Yeah. The crazy thing about this, though, is that the ship has more RPG elements than you do.
I mean, that I would say back with Black Flag and Rogue, that's as close as the old series got to RPG stuff. Was upgrading the ship and not the plantation, but like the homestead you had in 3.
Yeah,
like that kind of came pretty close to that, but like not with the characters, but with the home base was a character.
Yeah,
to some degree.
Absolutely, and it's that way in this too, for sure. So as a character, you have a sword, you have a gun. You have your outfit, and then you have 2 trinkets, which are basically these little things that you attach to your character that give you buffs. And that's it. And Matt, it took me 25 hours to get the second sword. Like, I got some outfit that Ubisoft gave me when they sent me the review code. I have not got another outfit. Like, his upgrades on him are very few and far between. Trinkets are pretty common. Like, by the time I was at the 20-some hour mark, I probably had like 8 or 9 of those to choose from. But that's why I kept going back looking for the chest, because that's where you find the trinkets. And Matt, the trinkets in this game can literally change the frickin' game. So when you first start, you can't really break down enemies just by attacking them with the sword. You have to do the perfect parry, and then you can do the execution. There is a trinket that you get in this game where if you just attack twice, it breaks their stance, and you can just hit triangle and assassinate them. And once that happened, all the conflict in the game just went away. And I would argue, if you want to make this game more interesting to play, do not equip that trinket. You can choose, if you want, to not equip it. If you do, it's a cheat code. It makes the game way too easy. And in general, even without that trinket, this game is generally probably too easy. I've died mostly in ship battles, where you just don't see that there's like a 4th ship coming up behind you that lights you up or whatever. But again, with the save points and the checkpoints in this, like, if you die, there's no real punishment. Like, you don't feel like you were really punished for it.
Assassin's Creed games have never been particularly difficult.
Yeah, and this one isn't either. But yeah, this is definitely not an RPG, and the closest thing that it comes to being an RPG is your ship, not the character that you play as. Because your ship can be upgraded in its weapons, you can add new structures to it, you can add storage to it, and then there's the harpooning minigame, which is just this absurd, like, little silhouette that or that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's just this little interlude that you go into where you go on this little rowboat and you're throwing spears at bull sharks, and like, the spear will land, it'll start dragging you through the water like Jaws, and you only have so many spears to actually kill the fish before. If you run out, you just have to start it all over again.
Or whales.
That is one hangover that I was like, yeah, this feels like something from like 2012, 2011. The rest of the game, though, I really did not feel that way about it at all.
I always liked those sequences.
They're silly. Like,
I mean, that's how they did it.
I guess.
It's called a Nantucket sleigh ride.
yeah. Even when you're getting pulled by the fish.
By the whale,
Yeah.
They don't really hunt sharks like that.
Yeah.
But that's how you did whaling. Like went out and robo stabbed them and just let them drag you till they
whaling
tired out.
Whaling is horrible.
Oh yeah,
it really is horrible. It just makes me feel so bad. Like every time, because you know how intelligent whales are, and it's just I just can't bring.
Well,
myself...
and you're also like, this is where that all started, and like you know that you're contributing to the near extinction of some of these species.
Yeah,
they didn't know that then.
Yeah,
but like they thought it would never run out.
Yeah,
but like it's the redemption arc doesn't work in every direction.
Yeah.
Man's still hunting down sperm whales.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's
I guess I don't know. Actually, I don't know if there are sperm whales in this one.
I don't think they say. I think they just call them whales.
There are sperm whales in Rogue, but I don't know if there were in this one. There are whales in this.
Yeah.
But I can't remember which ones.
So Eagle Vision is in this, but it's different. Like you click the right stick and hold it down, and it goes into Eagle Vision, which allows you to see enemies behind walls and things like that. But it's not like this bird that's actually flying in the sky that you control or anything. You just click the stick and hold it down, and it just goes into it.
Yeah, well, that's what it used to be.
Yeah.
They didn't add an actual bird until Origins.
Yep. And then as far as, like, your traversal and things like that, like, I mean, basically the whole gameplay loop, and if you played Assassin's Creed, you know this, it's climb, synchronize the map, and then explore the icons. That's what I found myself doing over and over in this game. Get to a new island, climb to a point, synchronize it, look at all the icons on the ground, go and look through the icons to find stuff. Go look for the chests, go look for the shanty songs, blah, blah, blah. Once I finish that, then I go look for the main quest, the exclamation point, to continue with the main quest. Let's see, as I mentioned, the gunplay and the dart play are kind of inelegant. Like, you have to hold, like, R2 and then tap up on the D-pad, and that brings up the guns. And then you can fire it once, and if you get the sequence right, you can do, like, 3 shots in this weird, like, choreographed, like, sequence. Mm-hmm. But if you just squeeze it once and you're trying to target things, like, a lot of times you can't shoot it the second time. It's this weird, like, hitch or something. And you have to, like, go out of R2 and then go back into the interface again and tap up on the D-pad, then you can fire the gun again. It's very strange.
Because it's you got to reload it.
I guess. But again, like, there's that thing where you can fire the 3-shot
Right,
flurry.
because you're using 3 pistols. Mm-hmm. He's pulling different pistols out.
And as you go through the game, you level up his holster on his front. Mm-hmm. It adds more guns to his holster and allows you to do that. The other thing,
classic pirate move.
Yep. The other thing that's important, too, about the melee in this is every weapon is rated in how many executions you can link. So the first weapon you get, you can link 2. When you get your third sword, like 20-some hours in, then you can do 3. And, like, the whole interface is, like, again, the assassinations in this make the game way too easy. Even before you get that trinket, like, being able to link the assassinations, like, what you end up doing is, like, okay, I'm going to start with this small dude. I'm going to kill him and execute him. When I do that, I'm going to make sure he's next to the heavy, so my next execution is on that heavy. So I can take him out without having to actually fight him. So there's some strategy in it, but ultimately it's just really flipping easy. And as Matt said earlier, Assassin's Creed games aren't really known for their difficulty, and this one definitely...
Nobody really wants Dark Souls Assassin's Creed in here.
And that's definitely not this game. It is very easy to keep making progress for sure. Parkour, this is an Assassin's Creed where you just hold X for awesome. Mm-hmm. Literally, on PlayStation... You just hold the X button down, and Edward just runs across everything and looks awesome doing it.
We're never getting the more intricate parkour back, I don't think.
Nope. But I'll say this. The parkour works very well in this. The only issues I had was if I would climb up in a ship and get caught up in the ropes and the rigging up in the ship, it would get a little confused at times. But otherwise...
He does get a little grabby.
Yeah. But otherwise, like, this game does a really good job of figuring out the geometry and what he should or should not be grabbing onto. Like, it's really amazing that they've kind of honed it to this point. I mean, what Assassin's Creed is at this point? 13?
What, this one?
Yeah.
Is in the original? Or
yeah, if you just count all the Assassin's Creed games.
Like in a row?
Yeah.
Like if we count this as a new one?
Yeah.
This would be the 15th.
15th, yeah.
I think Shadows was 14.
All right, that's crazy to think about. Yep. I already talked about
coming up 20 years next year.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. I remember when the first one came out. It made game trailers. It really did. It put us over the top. It's the first Assassin's Creed. For whatever reason, it was blowing up at the same time as game trailers was. But anyway, back to I talked about the harpooning. So some of the stuff, and I couldn't remember if this was in the original game or not, but when you're out on the ocean, there's some things that you have to consider, like rogue waves. Were they in the original? But they're in this, and you say you have to make sure that you steer directly over those.
Yeah, they were actually in 3.
Were they? Yeah. I forgot about that. Definitely an imprecise science.
Yeah, I mean, it's the ocean.
It feels like I'm hitting that wave perfectly, and still my ship's taking damage a lot of times, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. But yeah, every once in a while you just encounter rogue waves. There's like tornadoes out in the water. You'll come across like people who are in ships that sunk that you can rescue and add them to your team. There's lightning. Like, you also just stumble across battles between other ships where you just show up and there's like 3 ships taking on 3 other ships in the middle of the ocean, and you can just sit there and watch the fight. Like, they won't get you involved, they won't start attacking you or whatever. You can just sit there and watch the whole fight play out, or just ignore it and go around them. Like, the ocean really feels alive in this. What I remembered from the early games back in the aughts was that the oceans a lot of times just felt empty.
No, that was all in them. They had stuff happening.
I know the stuff was in there, but it felt like there was more gaps in between the stuff happening, like more downtime on the ocean.
Maybe.
In this,
I mean,
there's really no downtime.
There isn't really any in Rogue.
Yeah.
But Rogue was a refinement of this. So.
But that refinement has continued on in this one, for sure. It feels like...
it feels like they didn't really remember that when they made Skull and Bones.
No, that's a good point, actually. I saw today that this game's pre-orders have already outsold Skull and Bones.
Not surprised. Again, they should have just made another one. Like, just make a pirate game. You can call it Assassin's Creed if you want. Just make a pirate Assassin's Creed. There's nothing to do with anything. Doesn't relate to the fucking Apple of Eden. Doesn't have to be. You have one of them find a magic fucking Infinity Stone somewhere and just make a pirate movie. Like, just go. I don't know. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, the ship combat in this is still a little janky. Like, it's still, you hold L2 to bring up the aim, and then right 2 fires, and then eventually you get, like, the mortars, like I mentioned. You also get the ability to, like, light up weak spots on the enemy ships. Like, if you hit them with your guns right, like, these icons will pop up, and then you
have the puckle guns.
Yeah,
like the little side guns that like
where you don't have to aim them to fire them, and they just blast. They live in hell out of the boats next to you.
Yeah, or they're what you use to like pick off the crew when you're boarding.
Yep. The little turrets on the side of your ship. Yep, that's all in there. It's all in there, and it all works great. Like, the ship combat is a little weird. It's like there's times where I feel like I should be able to target a ship, but like the reticle gets a little funky. It's still not perfect, but it's fun. I had a blast with it. I will say, after 20 or 30 hours, I did find myself skipping a lot of the sailing and just using the awesome fast travel system in the game. If I had already made the trip before and I kind of knew what was in between the 2 places I was going, I would just fast travel. But the ship stuff in this is really fun, and in all honesty, far more robust as far as RPG elements are concerned than Edward Kenway. So if you haven't liked the pirate stuff in prior Assassin's Creed games, they don't change much in this one that's going to change your impression of that, other than I do think that they've kind of shortened the distance between sort of events out on the ocean.
And if you don't like the pirate stuff, what's wrong with you?
Seriously. Because it is so much freaking fun.
Yeah.
Like, and I like that you can make choices. You can take down the ships if you want to, or you can be like, nope, I'm going to repair this and add it to my fleet.
And then we're going to go use them to make more money.
Yep. And that is really the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because the money that starts coming
until you run out of space in the fleet.
Right.
But you still got to keep it up. It's like, oh, that one might be a little better than one.
Yep.
I would like my entire fleet to be made up of dreadnoughts.
Seriously. It's a whole game almost unto its own.
Oh, yeah.
And that doesn't even pop up until like 20 hours into the game. It's just crazy. So this game is the one that keeps on giving. It keeps introducing new stuff. The plot continues to be interesting throughout. I also like that it is a little bit more streamlined. It's a lot more curated. Like, I had kind of forgotten what it was like to play these old Assassin's Creed games, where it's like, hey, we're going to design a level that you're going to play through. And it allows them to do more interesting stuff in an open world. Like, there's one mission in this where you discover a slave down in the bow of this ship, and you together, like, join together to fight out through the ship and get to freedom and blah. Like, it feels like a lot of that stuff has been lost in the more modern Assassin's Creed, and it all comes back in this. And it was refreshing to go back to that.
He becomes your right-hand guy, right? Mm-hmm. Like, is Freedom Cry's not in this, is it?
No.
The DLC?
The DLC? I don't think so.
That's where you play as that character and basically go liberate plantations.
Yeah. Well, that
was very good. That was a good DLC.
It really is. I mean, he's a great character, and he is one of the big reasons that Edward turns into a good person. Because at first, when they start dealing with the slavery stuff in this game, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to cringe here. This is going to be bad. And it's not. Like, the way Edward handles the dialogue between him and his right hand, and just the whole thing is handled very, very well. And I didn't find myself offended by it at all. In fact, it feels good to team up with this guy because he was a slave. And it feels good to free him. It feels good for him to be a part of your team. And it feels good to succeed with the guy. So just another sort of side part of the plot that really compelled me to keep going forward and keep playing.
I hope they add Freedom Cry at some point.
I mean, honestly, I don't even know, Matt. It may be in here. I'm not 100% sure.
It's a separate thing usually.
Yeah.
In the original game, they sold it separately as its own game, and also even as DLC, you had to start it separately from the main menu. So I think you would have seen it if it was.
Probably.
I think they would have said something if it was.
Yeah, it's not in the menus, that's for sure. So yeah, maybe you're right. It's not here yet. Maybe they'll add it later. They should.
Yeah.
Because this base game is really freaking good.
I think that would be worth also giving this treatment too.
Yeah. And then sort of the other final thing I would say about this is that this is a great summer game. It's set in the Caribbean. It's sunny. The weather from Assassin's Creed Shadows is also in this. And it does affect gameplay, like big time. Like your visibility out in the ocean and even on land. Also, you can add a cat or a monkey to your ship, which is a new feature for this. That is something that is new for this. That wasn't in the original. And you find cats and monkeys out in the world, and you can recruit them and add them to your ship. I don't know what they really do. They're just there to pet, I think, for the most part.
Well, Cat was there to catch mice and keep the grain stores.
Oh, yeah. In reality, yeah, for sure.
Monkeys were indeed there just to entertain.
Yeah. But this is a great summer game. Like, I played this all week, sitting inside the air conditioning in Los Angeles, looking out my windows at the sun, the beautiful weather outside, and it felt like I was outside inside. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It gives you the summer vibe while you play it. And it never lets up. There's never winter or fall or spring in this. It's always beautiful sunny weather. And it's the perfect time to release this, I think. Not just because of the summertime and the theme, but also because there just aren't a lot of big games coming out right now. So Ubisoft, I think, was really smart in its timing for this game. And I do think that the fact that this game is coming out in summer adds something while you're playing the game.
Well, it makes a difference for them.
Yeah.
They're having a hard time.
Yeah. So I loved this game. I think this game is amazing. I had forgotten how good Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag was, to be honest.
And it's certainly what it's put in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, I always remembered in the back of my mind that it was one of my favorites. So when people would talk to me and say, what do you think about it? I'd be like, oh, it's like my top 3 or whatever. I had forgotten, honestly, what made it so awesome. And this has been an incredible reminder the last week playing through this game of just how good this is. And also, kind of how good the franchise used to be.
Well, I think that's a little distorted because this is still one of the best games in the franchise.
It is.
They weren't all like
but
this.
It is 10-some years old, you know?
Yeah.
We played a lot of games since, and this one definitely holds up. Like
They've made a lot of games since. I wouldn't remaster every Assassin's Creed from this era.
Yeah.
Like I don't need Assassin's Creed Syndicate Resynced.
Right. That's a good point.
But I wouldn't argue with Rogue.
Yeah,
Resynced.
For sure. Yeah. So even if you have already played this game, like I did, I still recommend this game for a purchase. Like I would not have. Ubisoft sent me this. I would not have regretted paying $70 for this at all. I mean, I'm 40 hours into it or something at this point, and there's still tons more left to go. There's still a map full of icons that'll set your mind ablaze when you see it. Like, I think most people are going to really, really like Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. And right now it's available for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series, but I'm surprised this hasn't already been announced for Switch 2, considering Shadows was released for Switch 2 and Star Wars Outlaws. So,
I mean,
different engine. But
probably just, like, need some time.
Yeah. So my guess is it'll eventually come to Switch 2, but if you're an Xbox, PlayStation, or PC gamer right now, and you like Assassin's Creed, and you vaguely remember how awesome Assassin's Creed 4 was, 1, you're right, it is awesome, and 2, you need to go buy this game right now. Next up, we're going to talk about Metroid Ravenous. I have to admit, I did not have this on my bingo card, Matt, that we would learn about a brand new Metroid game so quickly after Metroid Prime 3 launched, and to be fair, kind of bombed.
But this sounds like it's Mercury Steam, maybe.
So here's the thing. I can't figure it out because Mercury Steam just released a press release basically saying it's on its deathbed. And then it has to lay a bunch of people off. Because remember they had, what was it called, Blades of Fire or whatever? Yeah. It was like that crafting action RPG.
I just uninstalled that yesterday.
Oh, you did?
I realized it was still installed on Epic.
Well, that was its last big game.
Yeah.
And it did not do well. They just released like version 1.0 on PC. They're trying to revive it or something. it doesn't seem to be working out. And so they issued a press release saying we're in bad financial shape and we have to do a bunch of layoffs and blah, blah, blah. And then the next 2D Metroid gets announced. And obviously Mercury Steam, is it Steam or Stream? Steam made this. They made the last 2D Metroid. And you're right, it seems like this is a no-brainer team that should be working on the next 2D Metroid. But all signs are pointing to no.
I don't agree with that.
So you think
one project is not enough to keep that place alive.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be just be like if they're coming up, if it's being rated in under their whatever that agency was, that means this project might be releasing this fall.
Oh, it is.
And then if they don't have anything lined up after that, then that's the end of the company.
Oh yeah, its date is 2026 for this year.
So like it's possible that they just don't have any more business beyond. They got to do more. They probably need more than one Metroid game at a time to keep the lights on.
You could be right. They could be wrapping this up, and they've already been paid for it, and now they're like, "Where's our next?"
And
money
maybe
coming
again.
from?
This would have nothing to do with Metroid Prime 4 because this would have to start development long before Metroid Prime 4 bombed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but maybe Nintendo's like, look, we're not going to do any more Metroid after this. We're going to finish the project, but like, unless this thing blows up big, that's probably the end of Metroid. We're going to put Metroid to sleep for a while.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, I mean, probably what they did is they wanted this game to follow up after Metroid Prime, and they're like, everyone's going to be hype about Metroid after they play Prime.
And here's our chance to make the 2D ones big, especially in the wake of Silk Song, and like this. We're going to hit it when it's and you know what? That could still happen.
Maybe
we don't know.
Yeah.
We
both didn't really like.
I
this
did
game,
not like Dread at all, but you know what? Like I like all the parts of Dread that are a fucking
Metroid game. Yeah.
So like if you cut the bullshit. Like, I wouldn't be against, like, a proper Metroid game from these guys. I mean, good. Their Metroid 2 remake was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy to play Mercury Steam Metroid games forever.
Do you remember how this game sold, Dread?
I think it did pretty well.
Yeah, I thought I remember it selling like 4 or 5 million or something like that.
I bet it might have sold better than Prime 4.
Right, which makes me believe that...
Bet it costs less than Prime 4.
Yeah.
Just in terms of time
alone. For sure. Yeah. Development costs, no doubt about it. But I'm betting that it probably is Metroid Dread 2, basically.
Probably.
I don't think it continues this.
I mean, just because Metroid Dread 2 doesn't mean it has to have the stupid Emma sequences.
Right.
Like,
Emmy,
whatever they were.
Yeah, because that wasn't really tied into anything intrinsic in the...
It was the dumb, every Nintendo sequel has to have some new thing in it.
Yeah.
And it was just that one. Sometimes those things suck. Phantom Hourglass, and like... Spirit Tracks, and like, and that's just how it was, But the Metroid stuff around it was great.
Yeah, I will say Dread is one of those games where our opinion definitely, I think, was different from the average player.
Oh, it seems to be.
I think most people liked it,
but we were correct.
I
will never back down on that. Those sequences fucking blow.
They do.
And and even the people that love that game are like, oh, those didn't bother me that much. I didn't like them that much, but the rest of the game's so good I don't care. It's like fair, but no. Like getting stuck having a
part of the game.
Yeah, well, you had to keep fucking throwing them over.
Yeah,
and they're all the same. That is why that was one of one of the weirdest examples of the Nintendo gratuitous gimmick sequel gimmick. Is it usually when they do that, the gimmick, you see it evolve over the course of the game, and you're sort of like, okay, like it's not, I didn't need this in this game to get me interested in the sequel to whatever this is, but I understand why you put it in here, and it's a fully fleshed out concept that kind of meshes with the whole game, and it's fine.
Yeah.
The Emmy thing, it's one thing, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it never gets any better, it never really gets any worse.
Yeah.
It's just sort of, you do it once and you've seen the whole thing, and like you just have to fucking keep doing it over and over again, and it's repetitive and stupid, and that is honestly, for all my criticisms of Nintendo, repetitive and stupid is not something I say about them very often.
No, it's true,
because they're usually way on the ball about making sure that things are not like that.
Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know what that was, but I hope they can dodge that pitfall this time.
Me too. I hope
the new stupid gimmick is more entertaining. I guess is what I'd say. Which sounds like cooking.
Just so we're clear, this information came from a ratings board again, from Brazil's official Gazette of the Union. It basically leaked the whole thing under the National Secretariat for Digital Rights.
Mm-hmm. That is one hell of a title.
It really is, yeah. And basically the section that they included, and it was taken down like 2 hours later, which is how you know it's real.
Yeah.
It basically just said that it's coming from Nintendo of America, it's coming in 2026, and it has a teen ESRB rating with a violence content descriptor. And that's it.
I mean, my guess is she's going to be hunting something that keeps eating things.
Yeah.
Like it's some
Ravenous,
kind of like thing that's just...
Or
just
she
like,
turns into something that eats things.
I mean, the post-Metroid fusion stuff does seem to... Maybe she gets infected. She gets infected by a new form of Metroid DNA that causes her to be hungry all the time. And so you have to constantly cook food. But you have
like
to,
every other video game.
You have to keep eating different things, or because like the DNA thing she's infected with craves variety. So you have to run around and kill things and collect their ingredients from them and constantly cook new dishes. That's what the game is. That's what it's about.
Okay.
It's Alton Brown versus Samus.
And this is obviously Metroid Samus Returns. Do you think there's still a thirst for 2D Metroid?
I mean, I have one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I just mean in general.
I would think so if you could like make something that like really hits. Like again,
I think the budgets are pretty cheap.
But it's like clearly this style of game is very popular. Like the Metroidvania scene is gigantic. It's more than you can possibly play.
Yeah.
So like I guess part of it is that you have real competition with like some. There's arguably indie companies making better Metroids than Metroid.
Seriously.
At this point.
Yeah.
But I will always, there's something about being Samus that is not quite matched by anyone else. So.
Yeah, she's my favorite Nintendo character of them all.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my favorite Nintendo franchise, despite how many.
And one of the worst selling.
Despite how often they trip over themselves.
Yeah, I do wonder if sort of the negative reception to Metroid Prime might have a little bit of an impact on this. But again, it's probably coming out holidays, so people will have forgot by then, I think. So
I certainly have.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like, Metroid Prime is a good game.
It is good.
It really is. Did you ever finish it?
No.
I finished it, and it is, like, it gets really freaking good, like, at the end. But it's, like, get in there can be a little difficult. I do feel like it's one of the more...
I think after all that time, people wanted it to be Metroid Prime 1 level good, and
it was
great,
not.
And it was not.
Yeah, I agree
But
with
again,
that.
I think it fits into the series fine in terms of quality level.
Yeah.
Like, it certainly is less annoying than parts of Metroid Prime 2.
The open world did end up being really stupid and pointless.
It was.
Like, they ended up saying that was forced on them and all this kind of stuff, but whatever. End result was it's not as good as the other Prime games, but still pretty damn good. Okay, let's move on. This is actually going to end up being our last topic for our stream today, because we have to end around 2:30, and of course we have a little game we like to play called Name That Game Tune to get to. And our last topic, we're going to review Rhythm Heaven Groove. Matt, what is your opinion of this franchise? Do you have any?
I do not have an opinion on this franchise.
Well, you sent me a text yesterday that showed the original game of this selling for what?
No, I showed you Tomodachi Life.
Oh, Tomodachi Life, that's right. I get these two franchises mixed up a little bit, even though they are completely different and not even in the same genre.
There's a similar visual tone to them.
Yeah, kind of the cartoony marker art.
It was actually Nintendo Select, so the greatest hits version of the DS version of Tomodachi Life that I found is a store in Little Tokyo, downtown. It was a sealed copy for $300.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. Well, this is more like a WarioWare style game where you play a bunch of smaller mini games. Although one thing I would say is that this is nowhere near as good as WarioWare.
No.
In fact, I'll just be honest, I didn't enjoy playing this game at all. Not only are the mini games way longer and they drag on a lot longer, they're nowhere near as interesting, and they're not funny. So with WarioWare, like, the thing about it is, like, the mini games last like 5 seconds, 7 seconds, and some of them are really simple, but that's okay because 5 seconds later they're gone. And if you didn't like the mini game, then you've already played 3 more and you've forgotten about the one that you didn't like. This game is not like this. Like, each mini game, they work it. So they're all rhythm-based games. You have to hit the buttons in time to the beat, and that's another thing that separates it from the WarioWare franchise. Like, most WarioWare games aren't music and rhythm mini games. This, the whole thing, is set to music, and you have to do everything on the beat. And they work it. So what they end up doing is, like, it looks like the same mini game. Like, this footage that you're watching, you're like, oh, this is just the same thing over and over. It's really not. Like, they're syncopating the beat to make you hit the button on off beats and half beats. And so as far as somebody who's a musician, I've been a DJ my whole life.
Why are they so unhappy?
I don't know why they're so sad.
Why is
they're
the
just
tutorial
hopping
so
through
sad?
rings, Matt. Why wouldn't...
But they don't seem happy to be here.
And I wasn't happy to be there either, Matt.
Apparently not. Because why would you? Because look at them.
So they end up like staying on these mini games way too long, and they make you like kind of master them. So like I said, sometimes they'll start skipping up the beats and making you like tap the button on an off beat or a half beat. Other times, they'll like zoom the camera in, so you no longer have the visual cues, and you literally have to count the beats in your head and hope that you nail the beat in your head.
Sounds more like rhythm hell.
It really is, Matt. The other thing about this, too, is the windows that you have to complete this stuff successfully is minuscule. Like, there's this one minigame. It's the simplest thing ever. They're just throwing things at you, and you're a monster. You have to tap the button to eat when the food gets to his mouth. It's not complicated. It's not hard. You literally, it feels like you have a 2 millisecond window to actually hit the button. And so it becomes frustrating. You have to replay these things a lot of times over.
Oh, they're so mad at you.
Yeah, everybody's upset in this. I don't get it. And the way the game is designed is they're like levels, basically. And within each level, there's like 6 different minigames that you have to play through. And when you get to the end of the level, the last minigame combines all 5 of the things that you had just tried prior, like leading up to that. And they put it all into one. And if you have not, like, just gone through the whole thing, like, for example, I played through the second level and got to the end mission where it combines everything, and I put it down. And I came back, like, 3 days later, and I could not complete any of the minigames again. So I had to go back and play through them all again, get the refresher on, all right.
While this is happening, you're still having to hit the button to catch the Frisbees, even though you can't see what you're doing?
Yep. And you have to count it in your head. In this game in particular, it was 7 seconds. So once they show that close-up of her throwing the Frisbee, you go 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, in your head, trying to time it exactly. And that's how they make the game harder. And they just stay on these mini games for way too long, and they're not fun, and they're not interesting, and it's not funny. This game is not funny at all. The other thing too that people seem to say is like the selling point of this game is this composer, who I admittedly have never heard of, who's supposed to be really great. The music in this is awful. It really is awful. It's all like broken beats and just weird, goofy, off-kilter music. Like, I don't see anybody buying the OST for this game and just cruising around in their car and listening to it. I'm sure right now someone's typing on their keyboard saying, Shane, I have this whole thing on Blu-ray or whatever. But bottom line is, I don't think the music in this is very good at all. So I found very few redeeming qualities about this game. Like, I didn't finish it. I'll just fully admit it, because I wasn't having fun playing it. It just became way too frustrating. I ended up having to play through too many of the levels over and over again. And again, they're not fun, interesting, or funny. So I'm looking at the Metacritic for this. It's like around an 8. Like, that blows my mind. Like, it also is just a very crude game. Like, the menus and, like, the UI and everything. You can just see it's just very generic. Look, they just literally made a white box and put a text. Like, I'm not a fan of this game at all. It's Rhythm Heaven Groove. It's a Switch game. It also plays on Switch 2. I really don't think there's any difference between a Switch and a Switch 2 game at this point, so we probably just should say it's a Switch game, knowing that they work on both. But this game is like $40, which makes it maybe a little bit more palatable because it's not very expensive. But I'll be honest with you, man, like, I don't feel like I even got $40 of entertainment out of this. I did not have fun with this game at all. And this game should be right in my wheelhouse because I am one of the world's biggest WarioWare fans, and I love music, and I love counting beats and DJing, and there's a lot of elements in this game that are similar to DJing, particularly now in the digital age where you're working with like tracks and files instead of vinyl records.
Well, the complete soundtrack collection for the series goes for $300 to $400 on eBay.
So maybe nobody does have it.
Well, they're rare. It's very rare.
Yeah.
But it's sought after.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But yeah, for me personally, I did not enjoy the music in this game at all. I thought it was all just crap that I could have made in all honesty. I remember my sister came to LA to visit me one time, my sister who ultimately passed away in the car accident. But she came to visit me here, and we were down on Venice Beach. And she was walking through like all the little art tables down on Venice Beach and walking past them and spending so much time at each one. And I just walked up to her, and because I was starting to get frustrated, and I was like, Kelly, here's a good rule of thumb to go by. If you look at something and you think that you could make it yourself, don't buy it. And she was like, that's some of the best advice I've ever heard. And we just cruised down the rest of the boardwalk in Venice, and she saw a picture that she knew that she couldn't paint that she loved, and she picked it up and bought it, and off we went. And I feel like the music in this, I could make it. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't understand why there's this weird, like, almost secret society around this franchise. I found it boring, not funny, poor music, garish presentation. I don't know. I don't know what other people are seeing in it that I don't, but I tried. I kept going back to this game as I was playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. I'm like, oh, I need a break. I'll go back and play this for a while. And I started dreading it. Like, I don't want to play this anymore. And my wife didn't want me to play this anymore either because she hated the music. And she's like, because it's also very repetitive. It's like the same like loop over and over again. And like at a certain point, she spun around and she's like, for the love of God, can the song move on? And I was like, she doesn't understand that it's like a music and rhythm game. She's just like, the song just keeps repeating over and over again. So it also did not pass the wife barometer test. Like, she hated this game too. So yeah, I'm not a fan. Rhythm Heaven Groove, I say a full-on pass. If you're a fan of the franchise, I guess you'll probably like it because it seems like it's the same. But it's been over a decade, I think, since the last one. So a lot of people may not even remember this franchise at all. But this is just one of those filler games from Nintendo. It has a hole in its release calendar. They probably had somebody work on this team of 20 people for a year and a half. And there you go. You got a gap filler for July 2026. That's what I think this game was ultimately. So there you go. That's Rhythm Heaven Groove for Switch and Switch 2. And that is a big thumbs down and a pass from GameFace. All right. We've reached the end of today's stream, which means that there's just one thing left to do. That's right. It's time for Name That Game Tune, brought to you by Soundwizardry.com, the absolute wizards in audio. No matter what kind of project you're working on a game, you're working on a film, you're working on a TV show, you're working on a damn podcast, you need to call Soundwizardry.com. Head on over there, check out their online portfolio. They have worked on countless Game of the Year winners, even more Game of the Year contenders. They are working on Quad A games. Microsoft and Xbox can't make a Quad A game, but Soundwizardry.com can. Head on over to Soundwizardry.com. Hit up Glenn. He is awesome. Everybody there is awesome. Work with them if you can. Contact Soundwizardry. One thing that they do that is awesome is that they let us play this cool game that they sponsor called Name That Game Tune, where I play 5 samples from a video game. You try to name the game before this guy right here. Let me get your headphones turned up, Matt. There are no rules anymore, so if you haven't played for a while, all the old rules from last year are gone. The only thing that happens is we put the chat into slow mode so that you just can't spam the chat, and that's pretty much it. You can keep playing. You can win multiple times. In fact, that is the new goal of Name That Game Tune. Is your headphones okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's bring up the interface, and we are ready to go. Matt, are you ready to play Name That Game Tune?
Yeah.
Are you ready to play Name That Game Tune? Let me make sure the chat is at the bottom here before we go. Also, YouTube crew, thanks for hanging out with us today. But if you want to play Name That Game Tune, you do have to jump over to twitch.tv/SIFTDGames. Okay. Here comes the first sample in 3, 2, 1. I'll play that one again. Only 2 seconds. Vincent's talking about syncing TVs with Rhythm Heaven. I had problems syncing, period, Vincent, with that game. Gradius, no. Brutal Legend, no. Bowel Adventure, no. Perfect Dark Zero, no. Psychonauts 2, no, but that would be very sneaky of me, Eth Demon. Dishonored, no. Vector Man, no. Any more guesses on that first one? Halo 3, no. Guitar Hero, no. Destroy All Humans, that's not it. From Devin Danger.
Tempest.
Not Tempest. Tetris Effect, no. Any last guesses? Going once. Going twice. I think that's the fewest guesses we've ever had on the first clue. Res, no. Tron 2.0, no. Joust, no. Now they're rolling in. Usually we get beleaguered on the first one. Psychonauts, Rhombus of Ruin, no. That would also be clever of me. Berserk, no. I think we did Berserk once.
We've done Berserk.
Yeah, I think we did it already. One of my favorite old school arcade games, Justin. Berserk. Any last guesses? Going once. Going twice. Sold. Here's the second sample in 3, 2, 1. Fusion Frenzy, no. We have a winner. Checkmate 0079. It is Rystar. Ristar? How do you say that, actually? Sega Genesis game.
I mean, I've always said Rystar because Rising.
That's
Star,
what I thought too.
I don't know what the official is.
Yeah. Congratulations. It is Rystar for the Sega Genesis from Checkmate 0079.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I think that is your first win of 2026. In fact, I just went and looked at it, and like Emperor Gestahl has 3. You have 5 or 6, and then we have like 20 people with 1. Mm-hmm. So Emperor Gestahl right now is in the lead. Maybe I'll bring in the leaderboard for next week's episode so you guys can all see it. But Emperor Gestahl has 3 wins, and only everybody else has 1. So he's still in the lead, but there's plenty of time for anyone to catch him really at this point. You can just get on a hot streak, and you can totally do it.
After the second one, I knew it was a Genesis game, but I have not played Rystar enough to know.
I thought once somebody guessed Vector Man, that it was going to connect the dots in your mind.
No, I knew Genesis, but I don't think I would have put together Rystar, unless the later ones were more the ching, like the star effects.
Here's the rest of them.
I never played that. I don't think that game's very good.
Yeah. Although it's one of the highest rated Genesis games, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's just because it's obscure.
Yeah. Here's the rest of them. I forgot to play all the samples last week. My apologies for that, by the way. We were in a time crunch, though, and we had to get out of there. Here's the fourth one. And here's the last one. So you know the game is legit. Emperor Dread says Vector Man was so cool. All right. All right, that's going to do it for GameFace episode 487 right here on Sifted at sifted.net. A big thanks to everybody who came and watched the show live at twitch.tv/siftedgames and youtube.com/siftedgames. We're here every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and we are now back on our regular Tuesday schedule. We'll be here every Tuesday going forward. If you want to support us, head on over to patreon.com/sifted for just $5 a month. You get all our content early. You get this show 3 days early, Pactor Factor a week early, all our content at least 3 days early. That's really the best way to support us. It lets us count on the money instead of just hoping that people subscribe with Twitch Prime and the other stuff that we do. So if you really, really want to support us, please head over there to patreon.com/sifted. And like I just mentioned, if you don't have money to give us every month, and I know a lot of people are pinched right now, and you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can still help us out with Amazon Prime. We talk about it on the show all the time. If you're watching on YouTube, please go down below. I also saw somebody on YouTube, on our YouTube version of the show this week, remark on how few of you guys on YouTube are liking the show. Like, we have thousands of views, and I think our last episode had like 100 and some likes. Mm-hmm. Come on, people. Again, I don't understand what I got to do to just make you click that button. Like, it's just a second. It's just a subtle hand move across your...
Man, I watch hundreds of YouTube videos a week, and I don't remember the last time I liked.
Oh, really? I like almost all of them.
Nobody does that.
Really?
Look at Dice Tower, like the places that have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and you'll see like that the video's been watched like 100,000 times, and it's got like 1,000 likes. I
think it's higher than that, but you're right. Sometimes. Most people do not. I mean, it usually is around like 10% of people, something like that. But we're not getting that. So again, there's other ways to help us. Even if you don't have Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime, like you can still help us just by liking the show. particularly if you're somebody who gets in there real fast as soon as that thing goes up on YouTube and liking it.
God help you if someone falls asleep while they're watching. It's just
seriously
cycling through all these videos.
That's totally true. Yep. So anyway, thanks if you for doing anything. Like, I know sometimes I'm a little aggressive when I talk about this stuff, but it's all in fun. Like, I'm just trying to motivate you guys to do it because we need it. We need the help, but I totally get it. You're free to do whatever the heck you want, and I appreciate that because I try to do whatever the heck I want most of the time as well. But just trying to nudge you guys in the right direction. If you like the show and you want to see it keep happening, you got to support it in some way. Sadly, this isn't free. I have to pay bills just like y'all, and so anyway. If you can hit that like button, that'd be really sweet. People are having fun with the like button in chat right now. Yeah, everyone's saying, leave a freaking comment, like the show. Yeah. So anyway, big thanks to anybody who checked it out. And anything you do to help us would be a huge improvement over what's going on right now. So any consideration would be awesome. Let's see, next week you will have played Assassin's Creed, so we'll get your impressions of that. And the month does start out a little bit slow for game releases, but July is a pretty good month. Like, there's pretty much good games after the first, week and a half. Like, a couple good ones every week. So this should be a great month. Well, Halo Campaign Evolved. Yeah. That's a big one. That's coming at the end of the month, though.
Yeah, that's later.
Yeah, Mistfall Hunters is another one. It's like, it's an Extraction Souls-like that's going to be on Game Pass. I thought you might be interested in that. No?
Not if I got to play with other people.
There's Maddie for you. But anyway, we'll be back here next Tuesday like we always do. We'll have an awesome show ready for you guys. That's what we do here on GameFace. So thanks to everybody who showed up. I hope all of you guys have a great week filled with great games. GameFace is up and out.